content over everything.
Toss me in. I'm at the door. Here comes the steamroller. Yes. The ancient bison is here. You be rolling? We better be rolling. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. To all the people out there and to my brother Shaka. Ook props, yes. Last week you wanted to continue, but you know when it gets dark,
No, you have to go.
And blessing to my sister over there. Yes. And we were having a discussion, and it was truncated because, you know, vampiracy prevails when it gets dark.
Yes,
I ain't going to be hanging around.
Yes, sir.
You wanted to ask me some questions, I believe, about the Buck Treaty.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Because I wanted to share, I've obviously heard you speaking about this.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to share my understanding of it with you.
Yes.
To see what you have to say. So, in this respect now, so there's two treaties that are called Buck. Yeah?
Okay.
One is 642. The other is 652.
Good.
That's my understanding.
Yes,
and that the fact that, so basically, what I knew from before is, in terms of Nubia now, you have Nabadia at the top, Makuria, and Alwa.
Alodia.
Yeah,
Alwa is what Chancellor Williams calls it.
Right.
It's Alodia.
Yeah.
He doesn't know the correct word.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
Alodia.
it's called Alwa in other documents.
So it is incorrect. It's Alodia.
Alodia.
These
Alright,
days
that's
just
fine.
down to language.
No, this is ancient, like Nubia. Yeah?
Namibia.
Nubia.
Ah,
South
Nubia.
Of, yeah. So Sudan region.
Yeah.
So so these states were there. Obviously, in the 6th century, under Justinian, they convert to Christianity. Yes.
Actually, earlier, he reconverted them. Justinian led a crusade.
Yeah.
Actually, it was like a Christian version of a jihad.
Yeah.
To re-Christianize, maybe like how you were approaching Osman Danfodio last week. That's what Justinian did. He reconquered those areas.
Yeah.
They were already Roman.
Yeah. So under the Byzantines.
And his Empress Theodora.
Yes.
The famous Theodora.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So now in 642. With obviously on the momentum of the Arab invasion into North Africa, they attempt to go south into Nubia. Yes. Now the first time they tried to invade, which is 642, that's when they got their behinds handed to them. Yeah, because the Nubians came out with a force of like 100,000 man them, right, and basically kicked them out. Then they come back again. Yeah. About a decade later, which is 652. The first treaty that they signed, it's understood that they signed a treaty, but that treaty, there's no surviving copies of it, so the people don't know exactly what's in it. Yeah, that's my.
So how do we know they signed the treaty?
Because it's in some Arabic documentation that a treaty was signed, but the details of that treaty are not with us. Yeah.
Can you?
I haven't come across the details of that treaty. That first.
Neither have I.
Right.
I know about the 651 treaty.
Right. That's
the one we know about.
Yeah.
So that's the substantive argument.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the sense of the fact that your basic now where I've come across some different information from what you put forward is the fact that the idea that the Nubians, it's said that they won. But more accurate would be to say that the battle came to a stalemate in the sense of the fact that because the Arabs were able to basically sack the Dongola, which is the capital city.
Absolutely incorrect.
They didn't sack Dongola.
Absolutely
with
incorrect.
catapults and
The
these kind of
first
things.
battle, 651.
Yes.
The Arabs were decisively.
641, you mean? 641.
651.
No, but you said the first battle. So
It was 651.
Right. Yeah.
They were decisively defeated.
Yes.
They were in fact, it is recorded in history.
Yes.
Never before has the Arab advance been halted as this particular time.
That's correct. But in terms of the first time they tried to invade, that's a decade earlier.
651, they were decisively defeated.
So you're saying,
and all the cards were in the hands of the Nubians.
But are you saying that they didn't?
I can quote you, Professor J. Spalding,
Yes.
on this subject.
Yes.
Who's your source?
So there's a few. So
Give me one or two.
There's so one of them is documented in a book by the name of the author is Derek Wellesley, and I'm forgetting the name of the book right now. But my point is that there's two different times they tried to invade. There's
but
642
when you come into the
and
buck,
652, yes.
the buck
It's
is on the
52.
basis of
Yes.
the buck
Right.
was signed on the basis of an
Yeah.
absolute rout.
But are you saying
the
that?
Nubians completely defeated the Arabs?
But are you saying that the capital city was not sacked?
That happened much later. Dongola was
No,
sacked. No,
but that's what
much,
I'm saying.
Much, No. You cannot compress history like that.
I'm not, Uncle.
We are looking at 651.
No,
we are discussing the buck. By
Yes.
the time Dongola was sacked, the buck was well and truly in motion every year. So you're looking down the road too fast.
No.
Back up.
All right.
Back up
No.
to the back.
Let me clarify my point, right? There's 650, there's 641, 642,
Yeah.
and then there's 651, 652.
641 is in Egypt.
But what I'm saying is, no, in that year, the Arabs tried to invade Nubia.
That was a reconnaissance. That wasn't a proper battle.
But I'm saying that's the battle that you're talking about.
No.
That where they were comprehensively
absolutely
defeated.
not. Professor J. Spalding, get his document on this. He's about the best
There's that.
author on the subject.
I'm dealing with
the battle. No, let me explain. I think I need to explain this to you.
Go ahead.
The substantive treaty al-Baqt was signed on the back of an absolute defeat. The Nubians had completely smashed the Arab armies,
Yes.
and they were in a position of absolute advantage.
Yes.
When you speak, and then this is 651 and so, and then 652. There were two battles, 651. 652. Now, the sacking of Dongola occurred as late as the 8th or 9th century. It did not occur as, because Dongola was down in Alodia. Dongola and Soba, they were not in the...
No, Dongola is the capital city of Makuria. Dongola is the capital city of Makuria, that's a fact.
Dongola
The
was
Makurian
not-
capital city is
Dongola,
Dongola.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dongola was not sacked
Yes.
during 651 at all. No.
All right.
Fact.
Okay.
Professor,
Let me-
no, I'm giving you my source.
I know. I've mentioned Derek Wellesby. Chancellor Williams.
No, Chancellor Williams doesn't know anything.
Hold on. He charts a similar history,
Doesn't know anything.
as does Robin Walker.
Chancellor
But
Robert
as
Walker
does-
doesn't know it either. Neither of them know it. They are not professors specialized in this field. Professor J. Spalding is an expert in this field. The decisive battles on which the back of
Name
the
the book. Name the book that there's.
young man, what's the book by Professor? The book by Nehemiah Levtzion and Powells. African.
But this is what I'm trying to say.
No, it's not West Africa, it's whole of Africa. The authors of
But
the book,
Levtzion-
Nehemiah Levtzion
Yeah.
and Powells.
Yes.
It's a big red book. I can't carry it, it's too heavy, otherwise I would have brought it today.
Yes.
The history of Islam in Africa. Google it so we can tell the people, no man.
right.
So the article in the book, look what he's doing. Google it for me, no man. I'm not a young man. I don't know how to Google things. I don't have the internet skills. But the book, look, the sacking of Dongola occurred later in history. Don't conflate it with the battle
No,
of...
I don't believe I am. But
No,
I'll take your advice and I'll go and check.
It's later. No,
right?
Dongola is later.
I'll go and check my
It's
sources.
later.
Yeah,
But
I'll
the
take your advice.
battle was on the basis of a defeat.
No.
The Nubians were in a position up till the only time the Arabs ever got stopped.
I'm aware of this. But
first time,
what I'm saying is, again, I believe that I'm correct in what I'm saying, but based upon your advice, I'll go check it
About
again.
the sacking of Dongola?
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
you're wrong.
But
You're wrong.
I'll go check it
You're
again.
wrong,
I'll go
you're
check it
wrong.
again.
It's later on in
Right.
history.
But my understanding is that.
In fact, I think it was the Mamluks who sacked. No, I might be wrong now.
Yes.
But I think, I wish I could bring them heavy
the
books.
Mamluks were
the
not
Mamluks
later.
had exact Dongola or
Yes.
Soba.
Yes.
But that would have been down in the 13th century. But let me not say I said that.
Let me explain my understanding just for the record.
Yep.
Is that basically when the Arabs came in, because the Nubians had this fighter tactic of drawing the enemy in as much as possible and then waging an attack, right? And so it just so happened that the first time they went, they were comprehensively beaten. The second time they went
That
in.
was the Bucks.
Yes,
that was the Bucks.
but I'm saying that the Bucks is referred to twice in history, with the first and the second. It's only
We have established we can't discuss the first one because we have
we
no
don't know.
document.
Yeah, we don't have the
so
documents.
Let us deal with the
Right,
substantive battle.
That's what we're doing. Yeah. So I'm saying that my understanding of that battle is that because this is the second. It's not the first time they invaded. It's the second time they invaded.
Right.
And so.
And they got flashed again.
Yeah. No, but I'm not disputing that. Right. But I'm not saying
And
that
then the back
I'm not saying that they never lost. What I'm saying is that. I say the rain.
Go wrap it up.
What's it called? Riza.
We got an umbrella.
Is there an umbrella? Is there an umbrella for
By Powell's and Nehemiah Levtzion.
By the way, lesbian is one of Robin Walker's sources. I know that for a fact. Yeah, I know that for a fact. Yeah. But anyway, right?
Yeah.
But so then, just to explain what my understanding is. But again, I'm gonna do some more based on what you're saying. Basically, that they got to Dongola, which they never succeeded in doing.
In the
first
battle?
one, yes.
No.
Let me finish, right? Let me finish. But then the Nubians were able to regroup, yeah, and wage a counter-attack that pushed the Arabs to a stalemate, which would have meant that they still effectively won, yeah, but not as decisively as they did the first time.
No, incorrect.
But
you're conflating later history
yes.
with early history.
Right.
The Buck Treaty was already signed when those later battles occurred. The later battles occurred.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Even after
they came back after.
This is what I'm going to say, right? So
much later on.
No, right. So after this point now, yeah.
But the back had already been signed.
The back was signed.
Right.
We're not disputing the fact that the back was signed. Yeah.
But I thought we were discussing the back.
We are.
Discuss
yeah,
the back.
Right. Now.
Battle won back.
Right.
Boom.
Okay. Cool. Right. So the back treaty now.
Yeah.
Because now my understanding, there's two things here, right? The first thing is that obviously your assessment of what the Nubians were indebted to give the Arabs.
No, I never said that. Today I'm playing hardball. You see what I did there?
Go.
I said,
yes.
If a people are victorious,
yes.
and people need to refer to my old videos.
Yeah. Go on.
If a people are victorious,
yes.
you cannot conceive of the 360 slaves as a tribute. It was a gift. A victorious people,
right.
yes.
Okay.
A victorious people
right.
do not give tribute. They give a gift.
Right. But a gift now would presume that they were not receiving anything in return for what they were giving.
Of course, exchange, they were getting wheat.
But that's not a gift then, is it? But if it's an exchange, it's not a gift.
They said there was gold, there were other transactional goods, but this was
that
a
the Nubians
sweetener.
were receiving.
Yes, no.
Right.
The Nubians were giving things like ebony, gold. This was a sweetener.
From my reading of what the book says.
Yes, the book right there. Get the chapter.
I'm familiar with it.
You can't do that.
I'm familiar with it.
You can't get the chapter.
I'll try.
Because I like to give my sources.
What's the chapter?
I don't know the name of it. The writer's J-A-Y, Spaulding, S-P-A-U-L-D-I-N-G.
And when you've done that, check Derek Wellesby as well. Yeah?
We do not love him.
I'm not. It's not about love, you know. But I've seen. But I haven't seen.
You're not like to start getting funny.
No. Yeah. But I don't know if ebony was a part of the buck though.
There was exchange of goods.
No, there was.
I know that the slaves were not considered to be like, you have to trade this.
No, but this is what I'm saying. How I understand the buck now is that the Nubians were given 300 and something quote unquote slaves for this. A certain number of other slaves for this and that what next, right? So what the Arabs wanted in terms of the bucks, yes, were slaves, and then there were certain agreements in terms of territory. So none of you can come and settle. None of the Arabs could settle in Nubia.
Right.
None of the Nubians could settle in Egypt.
Yep.
Yeah. But people.
All right, let me agree with you for the sake of argument. Let's agree.
Yes.
Why are you giving these people slaves if you're victorious?
Right.
Why are
now,
you doing that for?
But I might agree with you on the argument. Yeah. The extent
you
of...
might agree with me or you agree with me.
No, what I'm saying, well, I don't...
Last week you were pushing me like that, so I'm going to put...
No.
This week I'm going to have to play hardball.
I'm going to ask you.
I'm going to play hardball.
I was asking you about
play hardball.
Heavy.
So do you agree or not? The Nubians, because my point was this.
No, I'm not saying
Remember what my point... If you look at my videos, my point was...
Yes. Why would you give that... Yeah.
Yes,
but what I'm saying,
win the battle.
But where we're disagreeing at the moment...
So, no, remember my corollary. My corollary was this.
Yes.
Therefore, the idea of having slaves was not unknown to the Nubian kingdom.
But that's... we're not going to argue that.
Right.
What I'm saying is...
So you agree with that?
No,
but that was my simple point. It wasn't more than that.
Hear me though. I'm going somewhere else, right?
No.
Yeah.
That was you do agree that was my simple point.
I'm not denying, and whether I would call it slavery or not might be a point. But I'm not denying that servitude existed in Nubia. So that's not the point.
When the Arabs do it, it's slavery.
No.
But when the Nubians do it, it's servitude.
All right. Let me. develop my point, and then maybe you'll understand. Yeah.
Okay, but I want the camera to understand that
Yes.
the substantive issue
Yes.
that I discussed was
No.
the fact that the Arabs
I
did
know.
not introduce
I know.
slavery into
I know.
Africa.
What I'm
The
challenging-
Nubians were practicing
But what
it.
I'm challenging at the moment
And
is
that the Nubians were in a position of advantage, having won the battle, and they had the right at that juncture to refuse,
But
which
what-
they did not.
yes.
Okay.
But what I'm challenging at the moment.
Which you agree with.
What I'm challenging at the moment
Right.
is firstly the idea that it was a gift. Because I'm saying my understanding of the Bucks.
Matters not then.
No, but it does
No,
matter.
I'm saying-
It
no, I'm
does
saying it
matter.
doesn't matter.
No, it does matter.
I can
Uncle.
refuse.
Uncle, yeah, no, but it does, and we're gonna get to that. But
I'm
I'm
not
saying,
giving you any slaves.
But this is the first point. This is
Take
the first
something
point.
else.
This is the first point, though.
Yeah.
That because if there is an exchange going on,
Right.
and I understand from the Bucks.
Why don't you give me slaves? I'm a Nubian
but that's
king.
a good point.
Kalidosos.
But that is
I'm
a good
King
point,
Kalidosos.
right? But that is a good
You
point.
give me slaves.
That is a good point. But I'm saying, so this is the point. So when you look
So
at,
you're agreeing that King
Yeah.
Kalidosos,
Okay, let me finish. Let me finish.
you're agreeing
Let
that
me
King
finish.
Kalidosos said, you, Arab, give me slaves.
He didn't say that.
Abdullah, he did not.
No.
Why didn't he?
Right.
Why didn't he?
But I can't argue the motivations of the king. But it would suggest, though, however, that sorry, let's establish what was exchanged first. So the Nubians had to give 300 and something slaves a year, right? In receipt, yeah,
Of?
right?
For?
No, when they gave, what they were supposed to receive was things like wheat,
Right.
horses,
Right.
cloth, and some of it said like horses of a breed, because like the emirs, they wanted that class of horse, yeah.
So I found some stuff here. Second battle at Dongola. So this was a military engagement between the Egyptian forces and the
Okay.
Russian
You might be right.
and the Caliphate and the Nubian-Christian forces in the Kingdom of Korea in 652.
The battle ended Muslim expansion in Nubia.
Yeah, no,
battle extent.
yes,
I
but
mean,
I
come
wasn't.
on.
But I was no, but uncle, I didn't say that they won. What I'm saying is, in that battle, one of the decisive things that they did do was reach Dongola and sack Dongola. So the victory.
It doesn't say that.
But what is it? Read it again.
Let me find the
Yeah,
document.
yeah,
doesn't
right?
say that,
But they
yeah.
got to Dongola,
Yeah.
right?
But
so
they
the
were
victory
ended.
Yes, but
They
the
were ended.
because, like I said, the Nubians
Yeah.
regrouped
Right.
and came back at them,
Right.
but they suffered more casualties
There is a
than they had done.
there's a later sacking of Dongola, which is not that.
That's fine. I'm not.
In the
I'm not.
Mamluk period.
But I'm not going to
We-
dispute that.
yeah.
I'm not going to dispute that.
But let's come back to this
Yeah,
gift
right, but-
or trade
Exchange.
goods.
No, because
why are you trading your people?
Right now, look, it's a good question. It's a good question. At the moment, we're not trying to
You're
justify.
setting a precedent.
At the moment, we're not trying to justify trading of people, right? But what happens following the signing of this box? Because
Yeah.
there's more skirmishes between the Nubians and the Arabs in Egypt.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of the time, from my understanding, was based upon the Nubians not paying the bucks. Yeah, what's it called? In 758.
I wouldn't pay it either.
Right, but this is the point I'm trying to make. So it's not as though they were just giving over these 300 and something slaves every
Right.
year following.
Right.
And then there was in 758, and this is also documented in this book by Dr. Wellesby, which the name I'm forgetting of. But it ends no, it's called the medieval Nubian kingdom.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the title of it, right?
Yeah.
What's it called? Where he talks about the fact that there were many skirmishes between the Nubians and the Arabs in Egypt,
Right.
largely based upon infringement of the Buck Treaty, normally by the Nubians, because
Confirms what Chef was saying.
yeah,
But I will research what you were talking
yeah, you
about.
go.
So the siege ended in a pitched battle. The casualties incurred by Abdullah, he was the second.
I read
Yes,
Abdullah
yes,
very well.
yes.
Forces were heavy. And
Kalidosos,
sure
because
for
Kalidarud, the
Yes,
king
yes.
thing.
Abdullah called for
Speak loudly into the microphone.
So Abdullah called for off the siege
Yes.
and negotiated the pact.
Yes.
According to the 9th century Egyptian historian Ibn Abdul al-Hakam.
Exactly.
This
Yes.
was because he was unable to defeat them.
Nobody
but-
sacked
yeah,
any
but- yeah, no,
Dongola.
but that's the point I'm
Dongola was
making.
not, it was besieged and not
My
sacked.
understanding.
No, it's clear.
Besieged.
I'm
Whoa,
not sacked.
my understanding
Sacked
is that.
you run them, you run over
All right,
them.
that's a linguistic point.
No, it's not
Derek
linguistic.
Rosby. No. I'm saying I use the word
not
sacked.
li-
You're saying
no,
besieged.
no, sacked-
Right? Well,
not sacked
No. But I
and
take.
besieged
but
are entirely
for the sake
different.
of my argument, I will take your point. I'm not because I'm not.
Come on,
my
sacked.
argument, but my argument, I didn't state.
They're
you
not
know,
synonymous.
I didn't state though, Uncle.
You
I
said
did
they
not.
sacked Dongola.
Yes.
You can roll the tape.
Yes.
You
No,
said
I did
they
say that. I
sacked
did say that.
Dongola.
Wellesby.
Wellesby. How you spell that?
WELSBY.
What do you want me to find?
The medieval kingdoms of Nubia.
And I want
Yeah.
to know his accreditation.
we're gonna come back to this issue of accreditation, right? But I'm saying, at no point have I said, to be clear.
You said sacked.
Yes. The capital city.
No, they did not.
But Uncle, listen.
They did sack Dongola in the 13th. The Mamluk sacked Dongola.
I will take back the word sacked, and
you must, because it's
that's fine.
It's seminal.
That's fine.
It's seminal.
But to be
they
fair,
besieged it.
To be fair, the difference between besieged and sacked is not central to my argument. So I don't mind.
Then why did you say sacked?
I don't mind because
I'm giving you the inscrutable look now.
Because my understanding is because that they came with catapults.
Okay.
Yeah, and destroyed major aspects of the city, including churches.
I don't need to tell you the meaning of the word besieged.
Yes,
you know the meaning of the word besieged.
Yes.
And you know the difference in the besieged
and
sack.
But we're gonna accept the word besieged.
Okay, but we have to. We have no choice.
But so and I'm affirming it, right? I'm sealing that ground. Then we're gonna accept the word
still,
besieged.
gift. We're here to discuss the back.
Yes.
Gift or trade item. Why are we trading our people?
No, but Uncle, we're not going to defend trading of people. We're addressing the history of what actually took place, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. So I'm saying
I will go along with you and say yes.
Right.
Why are we trading our people?
Yes, but I'm saying, but then we have to examine the extent to which it happened. So I'm saying that.
Shall I tell you?
But I'm saying, hold on a second, Uncle, 1 second.
Mamluks.
But hold on. But the Mamluks are much later than this.
And they were still doing it.
I know.
The was still going on.
Yes, but here I'm saying, Uncle, because the situation of Nubia in 650 something, and the situation of Nubia in 15 something when the Mamluks were in operation is two different things.
Mamluks is 1250. Right? Mamluks is 1250. Yeah, 1250.
Yeah, no, you're correct.
The Mamluks sacked Dongola. Right. I'm remembering now.
But still, Uncle.
Wait, I'm remembering. That made me remember.
Yes.
The Mamluks, I think, sacked Dongola in 1260 something.
Yes.
Maybe 1268.
It's still
the Mamluks sacked Dongola in 1268.
Sorry, I found the review on that book, and it says the exact same thing.
What's that?
That basically that the second time they weren't able to.
But remember.
Gained independence after the second.
But remember, I am not saying, and I never said that the Arabs won. You've not heard me say that.
He said they
no, the capital
Dongola,
city. That's what I said.
But
I never said. Hold on. But Uncle, what I'm saying is
massive difference.
But Uncle,
I can besiege your house. Where do you live?
I don't know why we're going to consider.
To besiege your house is to stand in front, is to block your house. To sack your house is to gain entrance and to burn it down.
I am affirming that they gave entrance, right?
Okay, let's get to the back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's fine. Because what I'm saying is, for the point that I'm making, the term besiege is fine. I'm not going to argue that.
Right.
If we're saying that it was besieged rather than sacked, that's fine. Right, cool. All right.
But I still want to know why. When I made the point that you found it necessary to query it, my point was, here's our people, black people, selling our people or gifting them, but you prefer to say trading. I'm agreeing with you, trade. Let's agree with you.
It's an exchange. It's an exchange.
Well, it's trade.
Yeah.
That's an exchange.
Right.
You're trading them.
Yes.
Why are you trading people?
Right.
Why aren't you saying to the defeated Arabs, you give me some of your people? Why aren't you? I'm the king. They call him Kalidurat here. We in the book of Charles William call him Kalidosus, which is the Greek, because he's a Christian, they use the Greek name. But this is Kalidurat. Why did not King, let's use that name, Kalidurat, say, I am the king, I am victorious, give me slaves?
Let me ask you a question.
Instead you're giving them slaves.
What
does it tell you?
It might suggest.
What does it signify?
It might suggest that the need or the demand for slaves in Nubia was less than the demand for slaves among the Arabs.
What does it suggest on the part of the Nubian king or people?
It suggests that the demand for slaves in Nubia was less than the demand for slaves among the Arabs.
That's your interpretation. I like it, but I'll tell you what it also, let me give you a fundamental implication. That slavery was not an unknown institution among the Nubians.
But I'm not arguing that it was an unknown institution.
But that was my point. So when we had the discussion, when you said you wanted to query the Bakt, I remember in my lecture, in my talk, you can find them on I said, when people claim that the Arabs introduced slaving into Africa, I said the first time the Arabs were defeated was by black people who then proceeded to give the Arabs slaves.
It is known, for example, that before the Arabs, the Romans were enslaving, the Persians were enslaving. So it would be factually incorrect to say that the Arabs introduced, anything.
I was making that point in terms of how people claim Islam. The Muslims came and introduced slavery. There was no slavery in Africa.
No,
everybody was living
but
in
nobody
peace.
argues that, Uncle.
introduce something that may
You're
possibly
going to
answer
bring
the
us back?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
The question is here, why did they give the slaves? Right?
Yes, yes.
I might have something here for you.
Go on.
Camera's really wet.
Okay. So it starts here. So it set up the trade. So that's what the
Go on,
book.
go on, go on.
It set up the trade,
Yes.
relation between Muslim Egypt and
Yes.
Christian Nubia.
Yes.
It involved exchange of wheat,
Yes.
barley, wine.
Like you, yeah.
That's what I was saying.
Like
Yes.
it's a trade.
Yes.
Egypt,
Yes.
360 slaves
Yes.
per year
Yes.
from Nubia.
Yes.
The Baqt was without precedent in the early history of Islam.
Yes.
Also new to the paradigm of Muslim-non-Muslim relation
Yes.
was Nubia's status as a land free from conquest
Yes.
traditionally.
Yes.
Nubia was made the exception.
Yes.
It was a Christian region where the rulers did business with Muslim rulers
Yes.
on equal terms.
Yes.
Well, until the 12th century, so from
Yes.
6th century. This
Yes.
Then up till the Mamluk period.
when the power, hold on,
Yeah, go on,
when
go
the
on.
power of Nubia began to wane
Yes.
as a result of the battle, the Baqt Christian Nubian had a space to flourish
Yes.
for the next 600 years.
But
600 years.
What?
600 years, dog.
Okay, can you...
You giving slaves.
No, that's fine.
You giving slaves for 600 years.
Sir, I'm confused as to what I've said that contradicts anything that was...
No, we good.
Right.
We good. Remember,
Cool.
we don't argue.
Right.
We good.
Cool.
Right?
Cool.
Because we're
Right.
learning.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, when my simple point in my lecture was when people make this fallacious claim that the Arabs introduced slavery into Africa, I am saying, in fact, if anybody started giving slaves in a trade, it was the other way around. The victorious Africans were giving the Arab slaves. Why could the King Khalid not say, I am victorious, you give me slaves? Why not?
All right. But that's...
Why do we always, why we gotta do
with all due respect,
why we gotta do foolishness like this?
But with all due respect, for me to answer that question would be venturing into the realms of speculation to some degree, which I don't want to do. What we do know, however, is that there were skirmishes because the Nubians were not paying the Baqt treaty to the Arabs.
No,
then,
at that point,
right?
no. At the point when that treaty was signed, they agreed that long before they had the skirmishes.
I'm not disagreeing with the fact that they signed the treaty.
But you're jumping
But I'm
ahead
saying-
in
No,
history.
I'm not, because I'm saying
We
that
still at
between
651?
No,
We
yes,
still there?
yes, but
Okay.
I'm saying that that what's it called? But it,
I want all of those. Yo, I want all of those.
But I'm saying the documents suggest in history that there were a number of skirmishes for the next couple hundred years.
Not all
partly
some.
because
Yeah.
not all the time, but partly because of non-paying of the Baqt. And there's a document that was written, and I'm forgetting the person in whose name it was written, but it's documented in that same book about non-payment of the Baqt treaty.
Okay.
Right, and the Arabs are complaining that either the Nubians are either they're not paying it, or when they do paying it, they're sending some old man. And they're sending some disabled individuals.
Man like me all.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And something there. So obviously they're not sending people that are fit for what they want them for.
Yep.
But it's also my understanding that when the Arabs were going through North Africa, this is a relationship that they were developing with a lot of the people that they subdued. So one of the things that they wanted was a certain number of slaves on an annual basis. This wasn't that aspect of it was not unique to Nubia.
Oh, I know that.
Right.
I know that.
So evidently there's a demand being developed in terms of slavery by the Arabs in this regard.
Yep.
Yes. And what you asked a good question, it's an important question. What does it suggest about what was going on in Nubia? I think you're correct. I think that that the argument for the idea that there was slavery or even also servitude, whichever one you want to use, in Nubia prior to, is a reasonable argument. But it's also reasonable to say that the demand for slaves on the part of the Arabs exceeded the demand, for slaves on the part of the Nubians, and that the Arabs, through in their conquest of North Africa, created a demand for slaves that did not exist prior to.
Remember, you mentioned the Mossi.
Yes.
In our last talk.
Yes.
And how the Mossi went counter-narrative to a lot of people who were colonized by Songhai and earlier Mali. Similarly, I can invoke the same argument and say, I don't care what the Arabs did to the Berbers of North Africa.
Yes.
In fact, in most of the battles with the Berbers, they defeated them. So when you are taking slaves from the Berbers, you're dealing with a defeated people. However,
in an unjust war, though.
However, yeah, we know this.
Right.
However, this was imperialism. I don't call this any GR. This is imperialism.
Total imperialism.
Right?
Yeah.
When you're dealing, however, with Nubia, they got stopped.
Yes.
So you're dealing with a different dynamic from North Africa.
All right. Now,
I am still saying, just like the Mossi said, no, let me land.
Yeah, go on.
Just like the Mossi said,
yes,
no to Islam.
Yes.
Why could not the Nubian say no?
Yes, but I'm saying that.
So selling our people.
But I'm saying that it would seem that even in the signing of the treaty, they broke the treaty a number of times. Yeah. So in a sense, it would suggest that they were not willing to just give away 300 and something people a year. They resisted that. In fact, there are times when part of the Buck Treaty was the fact that they were not allowed to give refuge to runaway slaves from Egypt, but they did a number of times. Yeah, and that was another reason why the Arabs in Egypt were vexed with the Nubians, because they kept giving refuge to people that ran away as slaves. And also, a couple of times they even invaded and freed the people them. They went and got people them or took back couple cities, and that caused wars as well. You see what I'm saying? So,
let me explain that one.
Let me say it's a more complex history than just they signed the treaty and they went and gave slaves every year.
Let me explain that one. That is the city of, it's called today Al-Dhahab. The city that they sacked is a city called Al-Dhahabi or something like that. Al-Dhahabiyya. That's the name of the city. And it was during the Mamluk period. It's quite late in history. And that is the reason Sultan Baybars, that's the name, Sultan Baybars, invaded Dongola and sacked it completely at that time. This is 12 something. Now, the thing is, what had been happening between 651 and 1268, or whatever the dates of Sultan Baybars, is that Nubia was increasingly being surrounded.
Yes.
What was happening was
we're on
the same page. We're not disagreeing.
Right.
What had happened was this.
Right.
To the east of Nubia, south eastern Egypt, northeastern Sudan, you had the gold mines of Al-Alaka. And they discovered when they realized they couldn't defeat the Nubians head on, the Arabs tried to go around them by going around near the coast. By going there, they inadvertently stumbled upon the gold mines of Al-Alaka. The people living that area are related to the Somali. They're called the Bija. And
so now we're getting to Swahili territory.
No, we're still up there.
We're still up there, but we're getting into, I said,
No, that's Somali down. Right? So we haven't reached Somalia yet, and we haven't reached Ethiopia yet. We're still in the Sudan, but up in Egypt. I lived among those people. Sometimes they call them the Bisharin because they have shar, the big hair. They have big afros. They use them like umbrellas for the sun. Now, these people don't joke. They don't play. So what happened is, however, there were gold mines and they were nomadic people. There were gold mines in their area. And the Arabs attempted to exploit the gold mines. And by exploiting the gold mines, I think it's kind of a little bit rain. I think I'm all right.
Go.
By exploiting the gold mines, they pushed on the Bija people. And the Bija people were pushed out of their area, and they themselves, the Bija, began attacking the Nubian kingdoms. So the Nubian kingdoms were being pushed on different areas. So actually the Nubian kingdom did not have enough slaves to give to the Arabs. It was a case of slow, steady impoverishment and
gradually,
encirclement.
And the increased demand for enslaved bodies over time.
But they couldn't afford them.
But it's the point I'm trying to make. So I'm saying that in the context of what we're talking about, the idea is that, because remember, Arabia is already Muslim by this point, right? We could say that, for the most part.
Peninsula.
Yes. Right? And then now, soon after this, in this 100-year period now, between the death of Muhammad and the period that we're talking about now is 100 years, right? So we're dealing with now the Persians are becoming adopting the religion. The Arabs are getting power across North Africa,
Morocco,
right? So the Arabs now, and as well as the fact that the Arabs now are basically becoming the superpower of that region of the world.
Yes, they supplanted the Romans.
Exactly, they supplanted the Romans, and this is important because the Christianization of Nubia
became isolated. They became isolated.
But no, I'm saying even before the Arabs now, the Christianization of Nubia can be seen in the context of the fact that Rome was a superpower of the time. So it became, again, politically expedient to become Christian.
Good.
Right? This is what I'm saying. So,
I see no problem with that.
Okay, right. So it was really that, but it was more that going beyond the signing of the treaty to see what actually happened. Were they actually just giving away 300 and something people every year. And my reading of the history suggests that it's actually more complicated than that.
As an Afrocentrist, you should condemn this.
Oh, but most definitely.
As I do. We should be like the Mossy. We should be like the Mossy. We're not having it.
Don't
you agree?
I would agree.
We're not having it.
But I also understand.
I'm putting myself in the position of a traditional worshipper like you are.
Yes.
That's why I understand you when you say,
but we're not,
you can't come to my country and convert me by force. I agree with you.
The Afrocentrist doesn't celebrate the Christianization of Nubia.
No, I'm not talking about Christianization.
No, I know. But I'm saying, yeah.
If the Christianization was, you see, sometimes we do Africans down.
Yes.
We rob them of agency.
Yes.
If King, is it Silko?
Yes.
I don't know if it was Silko, the first Nubian king to become a Christian. I can't remember his name.
No,
Silko, not Silko? Maybe he was the last one. I can't remember.
It wasn't Silko, but yeah. Go.
If Nubians have decided, look, we've looked at our traditional forms of worship.
Yes.
We've looked at this. You know something? King, what's his name, like this.
Yes.
Let's have this. I don't see anything wrong with that. If people voluntarily choose to believe something, they make a choice. All power to them. Don't rob our people of agency.
All right.
They were not children.
Agency is a good point, but we will both agree that it is possible for a people to be agents of their own destruction. That is a possibility as well. Yeah, and in fact, I do feel, because I brought this to them.
You mean like the Boxer Rebellion?
I had to bring the good book. I had to bring the good book. I had to bring the good book today. You know why? You know I had to bring it.
Shall I point out some inconsistencies?
One second. No,
I shall point out inconsistencies.
But we're not going to deny.
He gives it to me.
But we're not going to deny.
Chancellor Williams was inconsistent at times.
Cool. But we're not going to deny.
I read it when I was a young boy.
There are inconsistencies in almost every history book.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? What's it called? Almost every history book. But because
sometimes I'm too hard.
No, exactly. Because of what you said, I felt I had to come today and defend the great ancestor.
But I shall show you an inconsistency.
But I have identified inconsistencies in the book. Right? So we're not going to deny that. But I'm saying the reason why.
So he got out of it. He said he has also done it, so I can't do it. Clever.
No, I don't mind if you do it. But I'm still going to defend the book.
Okay.
Yeah, I stand by this book.
Are you not?
Right? I stand by it.
I stand away from.
I stand
away.
I stand by the book, right?
People last week said I was clowning too much. Let me stop.
It's fine.
They said I was clowning. Oh, by the way, sidebar. They said I was disrespecting you by clowning.
I'm cool. I'm a little bit more.
I would talk to you that different because we're two fully grown men.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind.
I don't understand why people should misunderstand.
I don't mind.
We're just having fun.
Seriously, I don't mind.
I don't understand people.
I don't mind,
People saying that I'm disrespecting my son here by having a little joke every now and then.
I'm thicker skinned than that. It's not a problem.
Come on,
and I understand. I understand you. So it's not a problem, right? But the reason why I defend the book, first of all, on the point of that you raised in terms of who is and who is not a trained historian. Are you familiar? Do you know what? Are you aware of the fact that Chancellor Williams is actually Dr. Chancellor Williams?
Okay.
Yeah? Yep. He has a degree. Now, before I actually say what his credentials are, Amos Wilson, in a speech that I listened to years ago, said he referenced this book and he said, a lot of people just read this book as though it's history. And he said, if we just read it as history, we're not going to get the fullness of the book. Why don't we read it as a set of case studies? That's a very interesting point. Because Chancellor Williams, what I later discovered, is that he has a doctorate in sociology. Okay. Right?
Not history.
No. But hear me for a sec, all right? Because, and also, he has an undergraduate degree in education. All right. Okay. So he was a professor at the university level, even before writing the book.
Did he go blind at some point?
Yes. Yeah. Good. Now I'm glad you raised that because some of the inconsistencies that you find in the book, even down to the typing, the typos and that kind of things that are in the book, are based upon the fact that this book was designed to be a multi-volume series. Yeah. It's called the Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. All right. Yeah. Right. A multi-volume series. Yeah. The fact of him losing his sight and them kind of thing, and other matters, impeded that process, right? But it was a contributory factor to the reason why we have this book right now in the form that it is in, without the other volumes that were supposed to be in it. Yeah. The other thing is that one of the things that Chancellor Williams did is broke ground in doing monumental levels of field research.
We still discussing the book?
No. Well, kind of. But yeah. But I want to address this thing, yeah, because Chancellor Williams obviously he studied in the UK as well. He studied history, in the UK, African history in the UK, right? And then he done what most historians don't ever get the chance to do, which is engage field research, for a couple years in a number of countries, right? A number of countries, what's it called? And sat among the people and gathered their oral history. This is one of the first books, and probably the first book written by an African to give serious credit and what's the word? Credibility to African oral history. There are Europeans that were beginning to do that, like Martin Griol, who was studying among the
Marcel Griol.
Yeah. Okay. Right. What's it called? Among
the
the Dogons.
Conversations with Ogotomeli.
Yes. A lot of people there, right? What's it called? Yeah. But my point is that. Because the idea of who is that, because remember, classic. And we stand by them book here. Right? But what's it called? But remember, so I'm saying the importance of the book, Uncle, is that it rewrote a lot of the fallacies, that were being projected by European historians of the time, trained European historians. Come true, my brother. Come true. I have to bring the good book, you know what I'm saying? to defend the great ancestor. Right? So I'm saying that the reason now. So I am.
Yes. You know once wearing turban last week, and I was with turban and all the rest of it.
Right? So I'm saying that no. So we kind of. So what's more important than whether he was trained or not is his actual methodology. And you will know, as somebody who's read the book.
No, I was talking about John Henry Clark.
No, but you said that.
Ben.
But you said
that.
But you said that.
I said there are inconsistencies in this book.
There are inconsistencies in the book.
But I was talking about people who don't have the right accreditation and even claimed false ancestry.
But I'm saying that.
And you got to wait a minute. You know Islamic tradition. If a person claims a false ancestry, you got to watch his research. True or not? Yeah. And you brought your book, so
yes.
I didn't want to have to do this to my ancestor.
The classic, the good book.
Yeah, the good book.
The good book.
I didn't want to have to do this.
Read the good book.
I'm going to have to do it now. Here it comes. Dr. Ben claimed false ancestry.
To who?
Dr. Ben was not. He claimed his father was an Ethiopian.
Yes, and he said his father was not an Ethiopian.
It's not true.
Okay.
It's not true.
Okay.
Dr. Ben, you realize he spoke fluent Spanish, right? You know that, right?
He grew up in
His mother is Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
His dad is from the Bahamas.
Yeah.
His dad is he's a pure Caribbean man. But he came to Trinidad and told us, these were his exact words. What got me to him is when he said his father worked. I'm not, because they said last week I interrupted a lot, and I know you interrupted a lot.
I'm not going to interrupt you.
So I'm going to call you to interrupt. So when your friends them try to say I interrupted, boom.
But what about your friend though? You have some friend too, you know. You have some friend who has something.
I have no friend in high society. Right, Look. When you're calling these things, some of these people had accreditation, some did not. I said I have questions with the inconsistencies of this book.
Yes.
In order to make good his case, he massages the information towards his theory.
Give me an example.
The Semitic storm from Aksum. Mm-hmm. The Semitic storm from Aksum. Mm-hmm. When he says that these Arabs, these Semites invaded and destroyed Nubia. Mm-hmm. These people were Africanized a long time, but in order to make his case, he had to make them Semites. You know, they're not Arabs because they were Christians. They were not Arabs. They were Ethiopians.
But they were Arab Christians.
No, but wait a minute. Forget that. You see, that's how he boxes.
No, but they were Arab
call
Christians.
his technique out. We are talking about that. See where he went. I will call your technique out now. The Semitic storm from Aksum is clearly Chancellor William attempting to say the reason they attacked the Nubian kingdoms is because they were Arabs. The Semitic people of Aksum were black people. But he's not, right. he uses, so what I'm saying is that's a case of massaging facts to prove your point.
No, Uncle, now let's.
You want me to show them?
No, that's
I
fine.
know that book.
I don't mind.
I know that book well.
But Uncle, I've agreed with you.
I read that book when I was 17.
But I've agreed with you. But I've agreed with you.
It's for children now.
No, because
it's for children.
No, it's not.
No, we got better research.
Don't throw away this book.
No, get out.
Serious book.
Oh no, keep it away.
I will not have any slander. I will not have any questioning.
Keep it away.
Of the validity yeah, of the
died.
destruction of black
I
civilization.
no longer exist.
All right,
You've
no,
driven a stake
no,
in my
no,
heart.
but uncle, let's no. I'm gonna agree with you, yeah. Now, but the reason why, because there are many historians that to this day hold this book in high esteem, yeah. Because whereas you're correct that he wasn't a trained historian in the formal sense. When you look at the book here, in the first part, the preview, as you know, he breaks down his methodology.
Yep.
He goes through
Yep.
what he went through. There
Yep.
are trained historians that respect this book as a monumental achievement.
Yep.
And not
I did as well
right,
for a long time.
and not only,
for a long
but,
time
uncle,
I did.
but not only because of the research.
I outgrew it.
That's fine. But not only because of the formal the standard research that he did, it's the fact that he did field research in areas that people are still yet to do today. Right? You know what I'm saying? That's one thing. The second thing is I would agree with you. There are for example
The Moors.
right?
How he places the Moors.
I think that, for example, that his appreciation of the term Berber in some instances is too simplistic, based upon what the history that we know today. I'd argue that.
That's what I'm
right?
saying.
I'd argue that.
That's
No,
what I'm saying.
but that
I
doesn't
actually
mean,
respected that book for many years.
But again, as I've said, there are inconsistencies
Yep.
in every history book.
That's quite true.
Why? Partly because from when you write a history, when later on
later
people
research
come
come,
and
new
they
stuff,
find new information,
new thing, yeah.
right? That's the case.
I quite
But
agree.
it just so happens that the fundamental aspects of what he's saying in this book stand up to history, right? And
If I was a Christian,
and to
I would
extend-
call this the Old Testament. Put it this way.
but
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah.
But you don't. That's from the Old Testament. When you buy a Bible, the Old Testament still there in it.
I know.
Right. So now,
But
uncle.
the back
So now,
when they
uncle.
show them some genocide.
They
This is the believing in
right.
you.
Jesus came to right. Yeah, I get that. Right, but. Now, to flesh out the argument you gave a minute ago,
Yes.
I would agree that there are some aspects of that history, as documented in this book, that we would
You didn't know
add to.
You didn't know Dr. Ben
right?
was an Ethiopian.
No.
You didn't know that, did you?
I'm not affirming what you're saying, but I will look into it.
I suspect you knew.
I will look
Look
into
at
it.
his face.
No,
You
I didn't.
knew.
No, I was not aware of what you said
He
today.
said, let me tell you what he said to us.
I promise you, I wasn't aware.
In public, what he said to us.
Yes.
His father worked for Haile Selassie. His father fell out with Haile Selassie, and because his father...
He wasn't a fan of Haile Selassie. He was not a fan of Haile Selassie at all.
No, he said his father.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but
he
he
was
wasn't a
there.
fan. I understand his father to be an Ethiopian.
You're not letting me hear you're not actually trying
I was
to
trying to go somewhere else, but go on.
I know he's always trying to do that.
No. I was trying to answer your point about the book.
No, I want
Yes?
to just talk about this because when we talk about scholars, right, I will tell you now why I have reservations about people whom I love, because I still love him. But when a scholar manufactures his nasab, his lineage, you've got to question that. What you're doing there. He said his father worked for Haile Selassie. His father was an Ethiopian.
Yes.
His father fled Selassie, and that's how he ended up in America.
That's fine.
That's
Uncle,
that's
to be honest with you,
It's
I'm unfamiliar with what you're saying, so I cannot respond to it.
It's entirely
All I can do is go and look into it
Yeah.
and come back and
Everybody
these
gonna,
things, right?
all your minions gonna be upset now.
I don't have
I don't want to
minions.
say that.
I don't have
No, I
minions.
see them.
I
see them.
have an army, an Afrocentric army.
No, make him
You know
come.
what I'm saying, right?
Make him that one.
Right?
Eesa, what name? That one cussing bad. Make him come here.
What, Eesa?
One of them, no, Eesa or some kind of weird name. He cussing
I
nasty.
don't know who that is. I don't know who
I
that
saw him. No, one of them, man. I see you all chatting to them. I would lower myself into those discussions.
Then let's not talk about them.
I wouldn't deign.
Then let's not talk about them at
Right?
all.
And let me tell you, I don't come here to throw red meat to my fellowship. And I'm not here to pander to people. I'm not here to win friends and influence people. But I'm not here to make enemies either. I'm here to learn truth and to impart truth.
Yes,
and
Uncle.
if people want to have an opinion about me and they feel that strongly about it, come down here.
Yeah,
No
they're
problem.
not going to do
No,
that.
they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it.
If you
right?
feel that
They're not gonna
strongly
do it.
about
They're not going
it.
to do it, right? Now,
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Go ahead.
Can I say salam
No.
alaikum,
Walaikum salam. Go ahead. Yeah. Keep on. You know.
right. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's speaker's code. Anybody can come, right? Now.
No, I wanted to keep
Yeah,
it like-
So, but I want to address your point though in terms of the Semitic storm, because to flesh out your argument as a little bit more, to be fair to Chancellor Williams, yeah, and I'm not even saying
That's
that.
not fair. to him.
No, right. I'm not even saying that again. Some of the details or some of his identifications
Yep.
may require further
Some
investigation.
nuance,
Yeah, you know what I'm
some
saying,
nuance,
right?
some nuance.
But his general
But it was
argument
a
with the
gender
Semitic-
ridden.
Yes.
It was a gender ridden.
But no,
it was to make the Ethiopians appear to be Semites, Arabs attacking black people, and that wasn't fair.
But no, but
that
to
was
be
massaging the
fair,
facts.
to be fair, Uncle, that there exists a dynamic in certain parts of Africa whereby the children of invaders develop systems of supremacy based upon their identification with outsiders. That does happen. So I'm not saying that.
Not the
I'm
Abyssinians.
not saying. But
the Abyssinians never identified with the people across the Red Sea.
I'm saying,
they never even identified with Israel. This identification with Israel is later.
But that would be incorrect, even based upon their own history, because they give themselves validation via.
Later, you just heard me explain it.
Yes.
The Kibber Nagast was actually written in the 13th century.
Yes, but
that idea that we are from Solomon was
fine.
actually developed.
No, but I'm saying that Chancellor Williams.
Now Ethiopians gonna be upset with me.
It's not a problem. But I'm saying that there are details.
They didn't have that notion when they attacked the Nubians. We are from Solomon and Sheba. They didn't have it.
No. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that that existed then. What I'm saying is, his argument is that basically in the West, when somebody's mixed race, generally speaking, we refer to them as black. He's saying in that era, in that part of the world, a lot of the time when children were the children of non-African fathers, they were identified by their non-African father. So their allegiance was to that. He says the same for the Arabs.
I understand,
right?
but with the Semitic storm from Aksum,
yes.
Why don't you say the Abyssinians or the Ethiopians? Why do you use the word Semitic? It is in order to give people the impression that they were Arabs, which they were not.
Well, I'm saying that his detail in that regard may be incorrect, but the general point that he's making is a valid one. We may correct, some aspects of his argument. That's not a problem.
So you don't mind me correcting this?
I would suggest.
I'm saying it's a gender-ridden.
But Uncle,
I'm going further.
I would
it was
suggest,
a gender-ridden.
All right. But this is the point. Let's say Chancellor Williams was a gender-ridden.
Yes.
He would not be the first to be an agenda-ridden, right? And he was agenda-ridden.
Yeah, but see, clever. Ali, we're talking about him. Forget that. I let him get away with that last week. I let him get away with that last week. No more.
No,
right?
but Uncle.
You see what he's doing? He ain't going to be first.
But Uncle Danjuma. The fact is, the fact is, what's the last chapter in the book?
The white man is our perpetual enemy.
That's not what the chapter's called. That's the statement.
I'm not saying that.
Right. Hold on. The last chapter in the book. Hold on. The last chapter in the book is called "The Shape of Things to Come."
Okay.
Yeah. A master plan.
Okay.
The chapter before it is organizing a race for action.
Right.
The fact that he's agenda-ridden is not obscure. He tells you that he's agenda-ridden.
So I'm saying that he's massaging facts to the agenda. He's trying to take me back to the point that I'm not discussing. The point I'm discussing is I know he's agenda-ridden, but he's lying.
No, I'm not. No, I disavow that remark.
Lying.
Now you see, elders are important, but when it comes to ancestors, we must turn the ancestors.
But he's
so
not.
At the moment,
what I said about Dr. Ben, I'm not lying either.
No, but
I can say it again.
But again,
and I'm not disrespecting.
I can't speak to that.
Any scholar worth his integrity should not manufacture a false ancestry.
But Uncle, let's say I agree with you in principle, because I can't speak to it because I don't know. Okay, I've not heard this before. As far as I'm aware, his father is from Ethiopia.
No, right,
not. That's fine. But I'm saying that I cannot speak to that. Right? So I'm going to agree with you in principle.
In 1930, the year my dad was born.
I'm not debating it with you.
I know. The year my dad was born.
Yes.
Can you imagine this? That's how long Dr. Ben was writing.
Yes.
He's from the Harlem Renaissance.
Yes.
He was that old. And that's why I give him props.
Yes.
Right? Dr. Ben wrote a book.
Give him props.
I do give him props. Come on, I love
Dr. Ben is a great...
Actually, I love
Dr. Ben.
I like how he cuss people out.
Right.
I like the way he talks. He don't care what he says.
The reason,
I like Dr.
The reason...
Let me just say this. In 1933, my dad was born.
Yes.
Can you imagine in 1935, Dr. Ben wrote his first book? 35! He just died the other day. The book was called We, the Black Jews.
Black Jews.
So our little Igbo friend would have loved him. So at that time, he was actually a votary of the Black Israelite Hebrew movement. Later on in life, he distanced himself from the Israelite Black movement. That first book of his was called We, the Black Jews.
Yep, and he went on to rap Black Man of the Now and his family.
That's later.
Yeah,
when he became an atheist.
Yep.
That's when he became an atheist.
I would say he began to resurrect the Kemetic tradition.
No, he told me frankly, no.
Right?
Dr. Ben told me straight he's an atheist.
No,
Dr. Ben said to me straight he's an atheist.
Right, but Uncle, at the moment, again, we're not going to debate these things here.
I'm telling you what he told me.
That's fine.
He wasn't there.
That's fine. No, he was not. But he was not an individual that was given to religion and God in that way.
He said all of it's a load. All of it is a load of rubbish.
However,
he said, let me give you a speech from him straight. Dr. Ben said this to us. They asked him, Dr. Ben, how should we apprehend God? Because there were Muslims, there were socialists in the crowd. It was in the Oilfield and Workers Trade Union in Ryson Road, Trinidad and Tobago, 1978. Right? Dr. Ben said this. Through all, and let me tell you, I cried when he said this because it was a heart-rending speech. He said, through all our travail, as the ships creaked in the waves, and our people cried in the belly of the ships for salvation to gods or God. No God came to help us. No one came to help us. So if you look at your brother today, and that man in Puerto Rico can be your brother because the ship sold slaves from here and there who are brother and sister. So every one of you is a brother and sister. So if you look at each other, perhaps you will find God. That was his speech.
And that's a very African-centered idea.
Man,
of God,
what? Listen,
right?
listen.
Yes. No, seriously. Right? And I've met Dr. Ben, yeah? So I have a lot of respect for the man and his works, yeah? So, but again, I'm not going to debate what you put forward because I will need to go look into it, all right?
You know what he's like? He come down and sit with you in the cafe after.
Yeah, definitely. He's very
he come
down to
and
earth.
sit with you.
Very down
And
to
you know
earth.
me, I push up with the elders.
Very down to
I
earth.
go and sit by him.
I met him when he was old. Because he came over,
Well,
last week he came over.
the man
Right?
was-
Old, oh, no, I
No,
know, long time.
he was already
But I'm saying old and not as strong as he
He was
classically
already in his
is.
60s. when I knew him.
Elder,
And I was a young kid.
and he took time because in part of the celebration that was going on, there was a part that was just for children. I was a child at the time. I must be like 12, 13. And he spoke to the children. And I remember, you know what I'm saying? He was very humble and very willing to speak to children. So great man, right? So this is why when it comes to man like that, I can't take no bad talking about the ancestor, you know what I mean?
But
even when my elders are concerned.
I am closer in age to him.
I agree.
I am near to the ancestors.
And if you were my age range, this would be a different conversation right about now. You know what I'm saying? Right? You know what I'm saying? Right?
Sorry for the language.
You know what I mean? Right? However, what I'm saying is, right, again,
It's time for Margaret. I forgot. I got soon go ahead.
Right?
Let's finish this.
So the point that is being made, as far as I'm concerned, the reason for the discontent, the discontent in relation to this book, is that it's one of the early books, from a black perspective, to challenge Arabic and Muslim supremacy, the assumptions. And not just from a historical point of view, but he even challenged the idea, and again, he's a man that's not given to a holy religion, but he challenged...
He's a Christian.
No, uncle. To say that in the black experience in America, to say one is a Christian is the equivalent of saying one is born. The entire black community is Christian and went to church. I was in church yesterday.
At least Dr. Ben said, I was a Jew, now I am an atheist. Because all of the religions are a load. At least Dr. Ben was honest enough to say that.
Let us say that Chancellor Williams did not disavow Christianity.
However, what he did do... Dr. Ben was buried in the traditional manner.
Yes, he was.
Not so Dr. Chancellor Williams.
Yes, he was. But Dr. Ben invested in developing traditional institutions.
Not Chancellor
Chancellor
Williams was buried as a Christian.
Right, but
after all this talk.
Uncle. But he doesn't... This book, if I should read the section for you, where he speaks about the fact that the untrained ear, will hear... his
finishing the lights?
My young, you know, my eyes are good.
Excuse me. I got this.
Right?
I've been this.
the idea that his religion is being attacked, that his religion is being attacked and not those who misused it. He says that in the book. Right. This book, because he challenged Islamic supremacy and Arabic supremacy, has gotten a bad name, but he's far more fair to the Muslims, in the book, than the Muslims give him credit for. I say that categorically.
How do you mean?
Like I just said. Because I noted it, but I can't remember the page.
Fellow.
Right? I'm trying to find the page here, but he says...
Him not good.
No, it's the page I need to find, but what I just said, he actually says it, right, in the preview to the
He's saying he distinguishes between the inhabitants...
The misuse of Islam as opposed to Islam, maybe.
Right.
And the misuse of Christianity as opposed to true Christianity.
And he's not making any bones about the fact that he's criticizing the thing. But I'm saying that if you talk about Songhai, for example, and I mentioned to you Ahmed Babu the other day, last week,
Ahmed Baba?
Ahmed Baba,
The enslavable and the unenslavable.
Right, I mentioned that to you, but he gives a glowing report of the man in this book, right? He talks about Songhai as one of the last bastions of black civilization, and he doesn't condemn Songhai because it's Muslim, right? You know what I'm saying?
I said, it's hard to do that.
But
black hole.
But he doesn't.
Remember what I said? Black hole.
But he doesn't.
You remove
but he
Mali
doesn't.
and
Now
Songhai, cannonball with black hole.
But uncle, the difference is civilizations in Africa that are not Christian and Muslim are condemned on the basis of the fact that they're not Muslim and Christian.
Does he attack? No, I'm afraid I've got to tie you to the point. I really have to go, but I'll do this. Does he attack their traditional spiritual form of worship?
He criticizes.
Or their political weaknesses.
There are many aspects of the. For example, in the book, right, he gives the example of the Cuba, yes. And I know. Sorry, let me just clarify this point.
Kingdom of Cuba?
Yes, right. He doesn't attack African spiritual systems in the same way. Hold on.
You see?
Hold on. Right. Especially because the spiritual systems were very much tied in with the culture and the social organization of the people. So if he's criticizing the social organization,
you still can.
Exactly, right?
But he didn't. But the fact is,
But the fact is uncool.
When he criticizes the Muslims, what does he criticize about them? Your religion?
I'll give it to you in the example of the Cuba, because he does the same thing.
The Kingdom of Cuba.
Right? Yes, right.
Congo.
Because what he begins to criticize now, the Cuba are a kingdom that develops in northern Congo. All right, and they're non-Abrahamic. Yeah, they're not converted to anything, but they develop a kingdom that he really celebrates because of its social organization and its parity, it's like egalitarianism, right? And he critiques them because eventually, whereas they had a social order and a governmental system that had a council, yeah. Eventually, they adopted
the king was the
a king. The king is called
Monaba.
Something like that, yeah.
Monaba.
Right? No, Shayam.
No, the king, the title of king is king.
Oh, sorry,
the king
all
the states.
Yes, right. But the first king was Shayam. Now he critiques this decision. He hails Shayam as a great leader, probably the greatest. But he critiques the decision based upon the fact that it got rid of the original social order, and by electing a king, it gave way because the kings after Shayam were not as great as he was and became despotic in certain aspects. Right. So he's saying that the decision to elect this king opened the way for certain disintegrations of social organization, because certain powers that were given to the people were now put in the hands of the king. Right. So he's saying, and after he goes through this, he says, this is an example of how Africans, without any influence from outside, disintegrated our own social order.
That's not religion. Does he criticize? Does he criticize human sacrifice among the Ashanti?
I didn't.
Does he do that?
Uncle.
Does he do that? Does he do that?
No, you know what I'm saying.
I know about this. And not only them. Does he criticize it?
Let me put this. But let me put this.
I would like you to answer that.
I will. I don't mind.
Because that's not really good, is it? Human sacrifice, not really good, is it?
It's not.
And Islam condemned it among the Ashanti.
Islam condemned it.
Went to the Ashanti.
Islam was not in a position to condemn.
Yes, they were.
No, they
advised.
No, they weren't.
They advised the king.
You mean Muslims were not in a position to advise?
What did he say?
I agree.
What did we say? Arabs? What did we say? Arabs?
You said Islam condemned it.
No, the Muslims who
But the Muslims were not abiding by what Islam condemned because...
No, the kings listened to some. They liked the Muslim talk.
Uncle.
And they said, yeah, some of us shouldn't do this. Some kings stopped human sacrifice
one of the things that he was doing,
right?
But human sacrifice human sacrifice
we don't really like that, do we?
But human sacrifice
not really good, is it?
But human sacrifice is not a defining feature of African spiritual systems.
Not only one culture.
Right? But I didn't say that.
Not only one was doing it.
But I didn't.
Not only one.
What I'm saying is, human sacrifice is not a defining feature of African spiritual systems.
Of several.
Right?
That's why I say to you. That's why I say to you.
Let me say something.
Islam is a culture.
Yes.
Africa is a culture of cultures. I said that before.
African spiritual system. Yeah.
Africa is not one culture.
As a defining feature.
Let me come back to what
that's the Muhammad Ali part.
No, it's not.
It becomes a moving target.
It's not.
Whereas Islam, Islam is the Kaaba.
No, it's
you
not.
can knock it over.
Yeah, but
their religion is. Oh,
but the fact is,
it's that.
But the fact is,
it's this.
But the fact is, for centuries,
it's a moving target.
Uncle, be fair. For centuries,
human sacrifice was not only done among the Ashanti.
I didn't say that though.
It's wrong.
For
but you're trying to find a way out.
And the Ashanti, as far as
what about Muti?
And the Ashanti, as far as the chronology of history. Sorry, let me just say this. One of the things that he does do in this book is give an account of the effect of migrations on African civilizations and culture, and he says openly that because of certain centuries of migration, invasion, as well as reactions to
invasions.
No. Natural forces,
desertification,
right? All the kind of things there, swamps and them kind of things there. Certain civilizations and cultures disintegrated to the point of barbarity. He says that in the book. You know what I'm saying? He says this in the book, right? So I'm saying now, yeah, that when it comes to African spirituality and African spiritual systems, nobody has found.
Has he criticized them?
Uncle, let me finish.
I'm
please.
afraid I have to tie you to the
With
question.
respect, let me finish.
You have asked this 3 times.
Let me finish.
No.
Let me
Because
finish.
the last time you said I was disruptive, but now I'm actually going to have to tie you to the question. Where does he take items of African spirituality and critique them?
I'm answering your question. The first point I made was that in the context of discussing African-centered indigenous social order, right? In that context is how he criticizes the spiritual tradition, because the spiritual tradition was not detached from the government and them kind of things there. However, Uncle, 1 second, please, right? Because it is a fact to say that he's more critical of the Abrahamic religions than he is of the African spiritual traditional system.
So does he criticize? I'm afraid I've got to tie you to the question.
Let me finish.
Does he criticize cannibalism?
Let me finish.
In certain parts of Africa?
Sorry,
I mean human sacrifice among the Ashanti.
The statement that he makes. I was going to deal with the
human sacrifice.
The human sacrifice. So the cannibalism.
No, I made a mistake.
But Uncle,
human sacrifice.
But Uncle, to be fair, right? Tying me to one issue of human sacrifice.
Human sacrifice.
No, but I'm saying, Uncle, let me finish, because before you would, I've been trying to say something for a while.
Because he isn't doing that book.
What I'm saying, but if you want to criticize human sacrifice, it's fine. But I'm saying.
But he must do it.
No, because no.
If you want to say he's critical, if you want to say
he mustn't do it. No,
there's no must.
There is no must.
But you're saying he's equally critical.
But let me finish my point.
Brother Shaka.
But let me finish my point.
He says he's equally critical.
No. I didn't say anything about equal. Right?
He's critical of indigenous spiritual systems? He's not.
Clearly he's not.
He give him a blind.
One of the things that he's doing.
Lies were given.
I might agree with you.
Extended
but I
lies.
might agree with you. Yeah. One of the things.
So the book is agenda written. I'm so sorry. It is agenda written.
He tells you what his agenda is.
Well, I'm saying
you're affirming
he's
that.
not. Yeah, I'm affirming the agenda. Yeah. He's not hiding his agenda.
I gotta go.
Right? No. One second. No, because
let me finish
you haven't let
the
me
point
finish my point, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is.
Bring more questions
Uncle,
from me.
no, but yeah, that's fine. But I'm saying you've been cutting me for like the last 10 minutes. With all due respect, right? What's it called? I'm saying, yeah. In the book, yeah. One of the things that he does is attempt to rescue African spiritual systems from the characterizations provided by Europeans, Arabs, and everybody else that came and attacked. Right? He does this explicitly. He says, whilst they say this is what it really was. This is a mischaracterization. So yes, he is mounting a defense. Right. He's not defending everything. Yeah. He's saying that these traditions have been attacked for the purpose of painting a global picture of African and black savagery. And religion was a tool within this characterization. So yes, he's defending the spiritual systems. And you're saying...
That's incontestable.
Good. And I'm humbled by that. The fact is, when you talk about Islam being a static target for people now... Yes, but I'm saying that for centuries, Uncle, nobody had problems attacking African spiritual systems. Nobody had problems disregarding them. Nobody had problems, even like some of the things that have been said in relation to our conversation, making statements, that the indigenous African spiritual systems are not applicable to today's reality.
I contend this.
Right? But Uncle,
I said to you,
let me give you an example.
No, you're kidnapping me there. I did say to you, with the Yoruba Ifa, because the Yoruba, okay, don't forget me now.
No corona, you know?
Yeah, no corona.
By the way, family, if you don't want corona, you know? Yeah. If you don't want corona, you have to pray to your ancestors, right?
Remember what Dr. Ben said.
Right. But Uncle, this is the thing.
No, but you've spoken and I was hoping to say something. These guys they're getting tired. I think they're getting tired now.
No, man, we can't tire, Go on.
I don't endorse man playing footsie. That's what
Okay. Put to the table and then underneath. Yeah. No, if you... What was... Before you interrupt...
I was saying that Chancellor Williams was defending African spiritual
what
systems.
I would like is this. If you're going to defend something and say, this is not what it was, this is what it was,
yes,
you have to be sure that that is what it was. And if it is, as you say, African civilizations had been degraded by Arab and European penetration of Africa, then what you are looking at is something that is not in its pristine form. Then you cannot know, because there's a lack of writing, what the pristine form is. Let me land. For example, if I am going to critique an African system, a social system, I have to know what the prototype was. Now, what we do know is there are many people in Arabia at the time of Jahiliyyah who did actually believe in Hobal.
Yeah.
They didn't think Hobal was an expression of a higher thing. And in many parts of Africa, according to Professor Sheikh Anta Diop, who is a Muslim, he says
Was
in
he
West
really religious though?
Africa.
What does that mean?
Why do I
Because to say he was a
Why do you
Muslim.
interrupt? Why do you interrupt?
I was going to bring up.
You say we're trying to,
Diop.
you're trying to free the ancestors of Islam.
Yes.
No, I'm not. No, but I'm saying-
shall I tell you this, family?
Yeah, go on.
Let me tell you.
I don't know him to be religious like that.
Let
Yeah.
me
He's born
explain.
in a
Now we
religious
brought up
family.
Job. I'm going to talk about Job like I talked about Dr.
You brought up
Ben.
Job. How did you bring up Job?
No, you made points. You cast aspersions. And therefore you must defend him. Job, yes, very good. Shaka Job. We love.
All right, we're going to come back to this.
Well, I did not do this with the destruction of black civilization.
But you should.
Williams.
But you should. I'll give you an opportunity.
I should. It was good in its time. It was damn good in its
It's
time.
good today,
No,
Kings and
God.
Queens.
Keep
In this
away,
time.
keep
In
away,
this time.
Keep away.
In this time. Yeah, go.
Yeah, Sheikh Anta Diop, I went to his family home in Jurbel.
Yes.
Sheikh Anta Diop comes from a family of Muslims, very spiritual Muslim. You may not like them from your orientation. They are Murids, and I love the Murids. He's a Murid actually.
Yeah.
And I have got a garment that belongs to him.
Was he Bayafal?
No,
Or
he's
just
not.
Muridi?
No, Baifal, you know them by their hair.
Yeah.
You know them, he's not a Baifal, right? But he is actually a Muslim that keeps his religion to himself.
Yes.
He's not the kind who come like.
Mashallah.
But you know that's me. Wait a minute. You know that's me.
Yes, sir.
Right? If people want to discuss religion, which I didn't like to do, I will talk about the history of Islam in Africa. But I ain't gonna talk about Aqidah.
Yes, sir.
I'm no sushi. Sunni Shia. I ain't getting into no sushi. I don't do that kind of
We
food.
can all live in harmony as long as Islam is on the
Listen,
top.
man, I'm on the ball from Oman.
Go.
With Sheikh Anta Diop says in his book,
yes.
I wish I had brought that book. Have you got it with you?
Which one?
The one.
What,
Nation
civilization of Barbarism?
The red cover book with the
The
woman.
good. Oh no,
with the mark in there.
that's pre-colonial Black Africa.
Yes. He says regarding the spread of Islam in West Africa,
Yes.
it was a peaceful affair.
Yes.
What has appeared to happen
Yes.
among the religions of the area,
Yes.
the religions had begun to lose their coherence.
Yes.
And Islam was saying one book, one prophet, one God.
Yes.
It was a simplification,
Well, you
a
know,
distillation.
there are some
and it was a
inconsistencies
peaceful-
in
No,
the
why? I shall listen to nothing against it. Right? So Job, a Muslim, is
Yes.
saying a Muslim scholar whom we love, whose book he showed you.
Who the
Sheikh Anta Diop,
Afrocentrists
love.
venerate.
They love him.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Okay.
we, as a
Alright.
Muslim, I love
Alright.
him. I went to his family home in Jurbel. I have a we call Nyare Abdu garment
Alright.
from the family.
But-
and when I prayed it,
but uncle-
I am a frightfully spiritual
uncle-
man.
uncle,
Yeah,
now-
because it's an African ancestors
Yes.
cloth that I'm wearing.
Yes.
You see,
But
and
uncle-
when I get
African
older,
ancestry
I will
combined
give you
with
some of
Islam,
my
huh?
cloths.
I give
And
facts.
then you
I'm
will,
humbled.
yeah, I pass on
I'm
to you
humbled.
the barakah.
Just make sure you write it in your will,
Yeah,
yeah?
I share.
So your family know, yeah?
You
Alright,
get,
cool.
you get
Make
a
sure.
share of it.
Yes.
You know?
Right. But uncle, can we just discuss that for a second?
Yes.
This book, right? Have you read this book? It's arguably his most important book.
No, I haven't. I can't say I've read many of his, but not
In this
one.
book here, just for the sake of the camera,
Yeah.
Black Africa, the economic and cultural basis for a federated state.
Yes.
Now you would in the book, it's in a sense developing on what he did with the cultural unity of Black Africa. Right. So when people say about the African spirituality not being the same one thing and them kind of things there, one part of the argument is the fact of cultural unity, which was an argument put forward by the Muslim scholar in relation to Black Africa.
Who we love.
All right. Cultural unity. That's the argument. Okay. But in this book, he speaks about the need to unify Africa culturally. One of his essential points is language, right? And a statement that he makes in the book is development under a foreign language, however you want to put it, is cultural abortion. That's the point that he makes in the book, in this book. Cultural abortion, right? Because when you study sociologists, they will teach you
I
about
agree.
the centrality
Linguists will tell you that.
of language to culture
Linguists
and these
will
kinds
tell
of
you
things.
that.
All right.
Linguists will tell you
Have you read the Mamadou Kouyate,
Yeah,
the Epic of Sundiata?
I own it.
Right, you own it.
I own the
Okay,
book.
all right.
I
Mamadou,
am a griot.
Right.
I am the son. Yeah,
right.
of course. That's how
so
it starts.
for the sake of it, Mamadou Kouyate is the first griot of the Mali Empire.
Griot.
So, right, yes.
Griot is a female.
Minnow, right? the tea kind of, you know. But I would like the Oman them, so we don't mind. You know what I'm saying, right?
The word is
But,
a broken French. It's
Exactly.
gaulo.
It's
from the Pular.
or jelly. In
No.
the text, he said jelly.
The griot was the French mispronunciation of the Fulani word.
Yes.
They went to Futa
Right,
Toro.
right, yes,
The word
yes,
in
yes,
Pular is
yes,
gaulo.
yes.
And they say griot.
But in
It's
the
gaulo
in the book,
Fulani,
though,
Pular.
but
From Futa Toro.
Mamadou Koyate calls himself a jelly. Yes.
Because he's a Mandinka.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So in that book here.
Why does he interrupt?
This-
Stop that!
The griots had the role of establishing the legitimacy of the kings.
Yes.
So in terms of Sundayata Keita, it was Mamadou Kouyate who, as a griot, Jata,
Means lion.
Sorry,
Sun Jata.
Jata, yeah,
Sun Jata.
yeah.
Lion.
What's it called? Yeah, what's it called?
Jata, yeah.
Jata is lion in Mandinka.
Right, yeah.
It's a lion in Ashanti.
Allah.
Right.
Well, you people ran away from there after the collapses, you know.
Shared language, bro.
You ran away
Culture
from there.
unity, bro. You're experiencing the culture unity right now. All right. Now, when it comes down to it, now, yeah. So he in the Epic of Sundiata establishes the legitimacy of the Mali kings and their lineage, and he introduces himself, yeah, in a hip hop style. Basically, I'm the baddest MC in the land.
Yes.
Right? What's it called?
We are vessels of speech.
Right.
Without us, crowns topple into dust
Right.
and thrones go into
The
oblivion.
secrets of all the kings
Yes.
are known by me
what
was
and my
that? I
fathers.
need to- I
Right?
need to hit-
Sundiata, the Epic of Sundiata. Yeah.
I'll post it on Facebook
Right.
for you. I'll put it on the
However,
page.
in the Epic of Sundiata, invalidating the legitimacy of the Mali kings, yes, he manufactures a lineage.
To Bilal.
To
Going back
Bilal.
there, yeah. The Mandinka, you didn't know they did that?
Right.
The Mandinka said they
My
come from
point,
Bilal.
my point is, my point is though,
It's rubbish. It's rubbish.
Of course it's foolishness, but my point is, this is considered.
No, now the Mandinka will be upset. Sorry.
But the jelly, this is what I'm trying to say. The griot tradition of Mali and Songhai is based upon this foundation. You understand what I'm saying? Now, there are many griot traditions in Mali and Songhai that we consider to be actual and real history. For example, the Tariq el-Fatash, the Tariq al-Sudan. Yes? All right?
Written down, you see.
But they were written down, but there's a lot of oral history in those texts.
Yeah, but the fact that
Yes?
it's written down, you can refer to it.
By the way, you remember I spoke about
Whereas with the others, you can't refer to them.
No. The king,
Chinese whispers.
Askia the Great.
Yeah.
The Tariq al-Sudan and the Tariq al-Fatash. In terms of his sojourn on Hajj and him getting some accreditation from the people over there.
Mamluk Sultan.
Yes, right. It was under
Who has no
Mamluk
right to give it anyway?
Hold on.
Mamluk Sultan.
No, but there's a discrepancy.
They were slaves.
But there's a discrepancy. The Mamluk at the time, the king was his name's gone out of my head. Anyway, neither here nor there. It was either from the people in Egypt or the Sharif in Mecca.
No.
So there's a hold
It was
on.
the
There
Mamluk
is
Sultan.
there was a discrepancy as to
Can you help
exactly
me through all
who.
this?
As to exactly who or where he got it from, right? But it is, but in those books, the Tariq el-Sudan and the Tariq al-Fatash, which are the preeminent primary texts in terms of Songhai, history, they document both of these things.
Yeah, Egypt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Mansa Musa could hardly be persuaded to pay the customary courtesies to the Sultan of Egypt,
Yes.
Askia asked the Abbasid Caliph of Egypt,
Yes.
and that's wrong. It wasn't the Abbasid Caliph. This is a mistake. He was a Mamluk. Caliph of
Yes.
Egypt to invest him with the
The Mamluks of
caliphate
the
of the
Abbasids.
land of the blacks, a move designed to
Yes.
extend his prestige
Yes.
among the Muslims of the empire. Now, the truth is this.
Yes.
The Mamluks took over from the Fatimiyya, from the Shia Fatimiyya. They overthrew them. They
Yes.
were slaves.
They were part of the Abbasids, yeah. They were under
No,
the
they
Abbasids.
were not. The Abbasids, they basically did not acknowledge the Abbasids. The Abbasids, remember this was at the time when the Mongols had already
My
crashed.
understanding is that they were subordinate to the Abbasids, but they were part
No,
of
there
them.
was no Abbasid. In 1258, the Abbasids were done for by
No,
the
they
Mongols.
were weak. I'm not saying
No,
that, but to say
the
that
Abbasid
Non-existent.
Empire ended in 1258.
so you're saying that the Mamluks had nothing to do with the Abbasids
Nothing
whatsoever?
at all. They were slaves.
All right, I'll take your point.
Right? This is
But
a
my-
little mistake because
Yeah.
the writer.
No, the
thinks
Caliph.
bec-
The mistake is in the title that he was given, except for the fact that many
But
people
the fact is, the Mamluk
titles
Caliph had no power.
Emir,
then.
titles like Emir, titles like Sultan, Caliph, and so on and so forth were widely used among Muslims, right? So he may have been known as a Caliph. My point is that at the time, whereas there was not a centralized Muslim caliphate, there were centers of power in the Muslim world.
Yep.
Just what I'm saying. And Egypt was considered a center of power. So if you wanted to, and as well, in terms of not just because of the government, but a lot of the scholars were in Egypt
Yeah,
as
so
well.
there was a scholarly
It was considered that scholastic credibility.
Yes.
If it came from Egypt, it meant something in the Muslim world.
Which is good though, isn't
right?
it?
Right? Depends. So let me.
Was Azhar present at
Right.
that time?
So let's right. So
The
all right.
Shia established Azhar.
Let me ask. Let me.
The
let me-
Shia.
Right.
The Fatimids.
And the Fatimids.
Fatimiyya.
Let me-
They
let me-
established Al-Azhar
let me-
University. You didn't know that?
Nah,
Al-Azhar, Zahra, because Fatima Zahra.
You said it's good, yeah? Okay, you said it's good, right? So let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
I was joking.
Let
What I
me-
mean is this.
Let me.
It has no real power at all whatsoever. If you
can't
are
say
saying,
that. You
if
can't say
you
that.
are
You can't say
saying
that.
to me,
You can't say it has no power.
It has
You
no
can say
validity
it, but
at
you can say it's not Islamic. But in the truest sense of the term, but in terms of the power of Muslims in the world at that time, it had role, validity,
No.
and influence.
No.
Egypt had influence, Uncle.
No, Egypt was powerful because they pushed back the Mongols. Let me tell you why the Mamluks.
No, but I'm saying in
let's
terms
talk
of
about the Mamluks.
Islamic scholarship at
The
that
Sultan
time.
was Mamluk. The Sultan was Mamluk. The Mamluks gained credibility under a guy called Qutuz. The Qutuz was the guy who fought Qitbuga the Mongol in the Battle of Ain Jalut.
Yes.
That was the first time in history the Mongols were stopped. And for that reason, yes, then after they said, you know something? We are now going to end the last Crusader cities, Akka, Jaffa. So after this, they went up the coast, methodically destroying the
Yes.
Crusader cities.
Right.
For this reason, the Mamluks are considered a powerful force. But the Mamluks' authority extended Egypt and a bit of Syria. Sorry, not
But
Syria.
didn't they own
Fertile Crescent.
but they had influence over Mecca and Medina at the time as well.
No, not really. No, not really.
What time period are we talking?
We are talking about the 13th century.
Yeah.
13th century.
He's right.
They didn't have no influence in Mecca
No.
and Medina.
Because
Not
you know
really.
You know what?
So who had,
even so.
who had influence in Mecca and Medina at the time?
The
local tribe.
No, the power
Yes.
was at that time in Baghdad.
Yeah, but I'm aware of that. But
Baghdad,
I'm aware of that.
what happened with Baghdad?
I'm aware of that.
Remember, the reason why the Mamluks had to fight is because of what happened with the Mongols.
But it's
there.
what I'm trying to say. I'm saying.
Let me illustrate this in a historical context.
Go on.
Now, we remember Salahuddin Ayyubi.
Before you go, I need to ask that before you go. I'll be trying. Sorry, but you shut. You're gone. Let me come back to you. Right? You asked the question in terms of whether it's good or not. Yeah. Now, what I was talking about is a language thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What I mean is this.
No, let me
What
finish.
I mean is this. When you are talking about the Congolese king,
Yes.
the king of Congo, I think his name is Alfonso.
Yes.
Wishing to
His actual name is Mzinga Vemba.
Yeah, but
Right.
I'm giving you the
Yes.
Christian because
But
I'm going to bring
when
the
he-
point.
yeah, but
I want
yeah.
to bring the point.
Dom
He
Alfonso was his name,
he
yeah.
actually- no, no,
He became dumb.
Yeah, he's
And- you know what I'm
exactly.
saying? And
He actually
pun
sent.
intended.
Yeah, he sent his son to be educated in Portugal. He brought back Portugal retainers and education, and there's a power center there. So he is now receiving his inspiration and help. Actual
how do
help.
you-
That is different from
is
Askia,
different?
who is more. Askia.
What
if
is
As-
different, Uncle?
If
Uncle, the
Askia
people them-
wanted to take on the Mamluk Sultan force, he could have done it.
But Uncle, they not only did he do
You know
that,
what? You want me to tell you-
but he did the same. He brought the
No.
imams and things to.
Do you want me to
to-
tell you? All right, I'll explain
on.
this.
That might be
Let
a
me-
soft
let me-
power as
let me
opposed to a
explain
hard
this.
That's the
power
point I'm
and
trying to
how
make.
it is.
But that's
no,
what
but
I'm
it's not
saying.
even real power.
No, but it
There's
is,
no
Uncle.
power
It
in
is because
let me tell you
because
another
among
thing.
the people.
Let me
that
tell
he
you
was-
another thing.
Him coming back to the song, Uncle, and
Okay.
saying, "I've been given,
Yeah.
this role by
Yeah.
the people them over there, so gave him credibility."
Yeah, but he already had
Why?
that power.
No, but he did to a
He
degree.
already had that
But
power.
he did to a degree.
He was only doing
but-
it to put a icing.
Exactly.
No,
because
he's
because
putting a
Uncle,
cherry on top. That's all he's
Uncle,
doing.
No, but
That's a
because,
cherry on
because
top.
in Songhai,
Yeah.
because firstly, the traditionalists,
Yep.
were still many,
Yep.
majority,
Yeah.
right? The Muslims were the elite.
You make me forget my point.
Right, but I know it was my point that was supposed to be
No,
made.
no,
right?
no, don't forget my
But even among some of the Muslims, there was a bit of a power thing going on. Partly because Askia
Yep.
had unseated
Yep.
the people and before him, Sunni Ali
Yes.
and Sunni Burr,
Yep.
right? Because they were not Muslim enough. Sunni Ali was Muslim. They say nominally Muslim. Sunni Burr was not. He defended the traditionalists.
Came with the orthodox kind of thing. And so,
Askia came with the orthodoxy.
Yeah.
So in order to validate his orthodoxy,
Yes.
he went and came back with this.
Right.
He took Hajj, obviously.
Smart
Hajj
move.
is-
Yeah.
Right.
Smart
And he came
move.
out with- he came out with some ulama,
Smart
came out
move.
with some scholars.
And
Smart
to, and
move.
to teach
They looked the part and
Smart
then
all that
move.
kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so all of that gave him power and credibility
Yeah.
because people. Right now, let's come back to this.
Yep.
There is one of the reasons why the
No, what
Muslims.
power did he come back with? I want to tell you the specifics. What power?
Religious
like
power,
Alfonso, King Dom Alfonso.
Religious power.
Like Dom Alfonso. Like Dom Alfonso in Portugal. The Congolese king in
Okay,
Portugal.
let me make my point. Let me make my point, right? With the
I'm asking you to make a comparison.
I'm saying it's a similar
don't see
thing,
the conflict.
right?
We
I'm
have
saying,
the
hear
conflict.
me.
We never have
no,
conflicts.
because
Absolute harmony.
Alright, let me make the point.
Symphony.
So remember, I talked about the language thing, yeah. Okay, Muslims in the 7th century, the city of Baghdad that you mentioned, became famous for its learning.
Not the 7th century.
No, I'm saying when was it built?
Your timeline is a little wonky.
9th century, 8th
Yep.
century.
But I'm saying,
Late
No,
7th century,
he's talking
you're
about
talking about the advent of
Damascus.
the
I'm
prophet.
saying,
That time it was
no.
Damascus.
Yeah, I'm saying,
Yeah,
okay,
something in Damascus.
maybe I got some things wrong, right? But
you're correct,
but in terms of how
In the spread. Like,
no. In terms of science and Islam,
Okay.
one of the major contributions, to how Muslims and Islamic empires developed this great scientific tradition was because they were one of the Al Mansur, Al Rashid, and the one after Al Rashid.
So Maimun,
What's it called? Right? They started to gather
Yeah.
knowledge from around the world, particularly the Greeks.
That's great, isn't it?
Right?
It's a good thing, isn't it?
Beautiful,
Yeah.
fantastic,
Like-
right?
like Timbuktu. It's great, isn't it?
I agree.
It's great, isn't it?
There's a fundamental difference, however.
all
There's a
knowledge,
fundamental difference,
books and
however.
things.
Yes.
Yeah, writing.
Yes.
Writing.
But there's a,
Literacy.
yes.
It's
I
great,
agree.
isn't it?
I agree.
They
I
were
agree.
usurping
Right, yes.
knowledge
So
and-
one of the things that they did, that they had a massive translation movement. So they get stuff from the Persians, translate them into Arabic.
Correct.
Wonderful stuff.
They get stuff from the
Ancient Egyptians.
from the
Kemet.
But the Persians,
less Kemet, but more the
the
Greeks,
Persians.
because a lot of the Kemet stuff was
Coptic.
right. Exactly.
lots
Right?
of the Persians became Muslims also.
Yeah, exactly. As a part of it, the
What
Greeks they
he's
got that from the
talking about is
Greeks.
the
All right?
internationalization.
But the Greeks had preserved a lot of
Somehow
Kemet stuff.
became international.
But because of the
It's
the Romans
great,
had
innit?
destroyed
Right.
a lot of the Kemetic stuff. Right now, Uncle, on your your timeline, you posted from this particular book right here, on Ngugi wa Thiong'o.
We love him.
We love him.
Yes.
Decolonizing the mind, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
I've
in
seen
this
this
book,
book around.
he's
I posted an Excel. I own that book.
He delivers a fantastic argument
I loved it.
for the fact that African literary artists should
Should
write
write.
in indigenous languages.
Yeah, I love it.
Right? And Uncle Danjuma posted
The
a
problem
comment.
is the readership will be narrow.
Right.
That's the only problem.
I agree.
Job wanted
But
to
there's
write in Wolof,
Yes.
and he had that problem.
Right, now, Uncle,
You're gonna let even
Right?
amongst the shanty right now, like
Yes.
finding literature.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hard.
Hard in a shanty. But the point he's making, right? And there's a good 15-minute interview on BBC Hard Talk online with him at the moment. It's brilliant, right? But what he's saying is that what he said in the interview, he said that there are many prizes given for African literature in today's world. What's the one criteria? They have to write in English,
European
right?
languages.
Now, what the Arabs effectively did, consciously, by converting a lot of scientific literature into Arabic,
They shift their language to the
they
main
extended the functionality of the Arabic language. So Arabic is beautiful. It's beautiful. The Arabic language, and we can learn a lot from it. The Arabic language becomes now not just a language of religion,
Lingua franca.
but it becomes a language of not just trade, but scientific
Science
and
as well,
technological
yeah.
development. So you extend the functionality of the language. This is the reverse as to what happened to African languages. Their functionality was denigrated.
Stop right
because,
there.
hold on, let me finish. I'm nearly finished, right? So what happens, that the difference
I
now,
must let him land.
the difference, please, Uncle, I'm humbled,
I
right?
let you land.
The difference with Africa was, when Africa took on the Arabic script, Africa also took on the Arabic language. The Arabs...
Not really.
Yes, they did.
Songhai spoke
Uncle,
Songhai.
no, they did.
Oh, let me stop interrupting.
No.
Sorry.
It doesn't mean that the languages were not spoken. It means that scholarship.
Yeah.
In order to be a
Okay,
scholar,
scholars,
you had to write
Quite
in
true.
Arabic.
Quite true.
And even though that there were
Great.
Africans that used the Arabic script
Wonderful
but
stuff.
wrote in indigenous languages,
considered in the
they're
same
not
capacity.
considered on the same level. So scholarship. Not just so in effect now we degrade our own languages. The script is one thing,
But
yeah.
Can I comment?
Well, if you're
Yeah,
coming
sorry.
in, I will go because I gotta go.
Okay, go.
So I got one last point I want to run with this point. You have to look at the world globally.
Yes.
And this is the beauty of Islam.
Yes.
What Islam does, it takes a society and integrates it into a wider world. Of course, there will be winners and losers, and we will try not to be losers. My project as a black Muslim is for us blacks in the Ummah to not be, in the aspirational Ummah, to not be losers. So when we discuss things like this, I am an African and I am a Muslim, and I'm conscious of anything young Shaka is saying. What I will say is this: when you look at language in Europe, And you have to take the world as a global place. You look at the development of language in Europe. The language of medieval Europe scholarship was Latin. It did not degrade the English language, the French language, the German language. You speak German. It did not degrade the German language.
Oh, it did.
No, it did not.
It did.
It did
No,
not.
he
speaks fluent German.
No, no,
He
no.
can tell you it
No,
did
no,
not.
no, no,
Yo,
no, no,
oh,
sorry.
Deutsch. Hi, Deutsch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
No, but the German is different. But the
how do you mean?
German is different.
Why do you interrupt me and I couldn't
Sorry.
interrupt you?
No, I asked you to let me finish. I did
I
ask
have
you to let
not
me
been
finish.
allowed
And
to
to be fair, Uncle, I did ask you for quite a while to let me finish. But I take your point. I don't mean to interrupt you. I don't mean to interrupt
I
you.
like teasing
Yeah.
you because you stay cool all the time.
Yeah, it's all good. It's respect.
He's not like that guy over there. He started cussing. If you look at him, he started cussing. No, what I'm saying is this.
Yes.
I made the point last week, and you deflected it lovely. I like the way you.
I don't deflect, you know, Rasta. What are you doing? I don't deflect, you know.
I said lovely. I said lovely. This was lovely.
Yeah, go.
Anyhow, what happened was he's saying this, and I understand. I would make the same point too. He said, "Do not introduce Europe as an item of comparison." What I was saying, you weren't here. What I was saying last week was this. I was saying, when Christianity spread in Europe, it spread in some parts by force. Charlemagne spread it to the Saxons by force and also the Lombards. I'm repeating myself. However, in Ireland, in England, many other countries like Spain and France, Christianity was an organic affair. In fact, when Alfred the Great fought the Vikings had come with their religion and their culture, and they had attempted to push on Alfred. They forced Alfred down to Wessex. Alfred, from a tiny area, managed to push back. And he said to them, look, I will allow you X amount of land of northern part, like Northumbrian places, if you, Guthrum, the king of the Vikings, convert to Christianity. And Guthrum thought, well, that's a good deal because God is just God, and I'm getting all this land. You see?
That's how I the same thing. God is God.
Yeah, God is God. So he converted to Christianity with the result that over successive generations, the Vikings, instead of conquering England, they were absorbed. But when they were absorbed, listen to this, the Vikings, like the Normans later, who are also Vikings, became the staunchest proponents, defenders of Christianity. Nobody forced them to become Christian. They had agency. And nobody says they didn't have agency. And I don't like, let me land, I don't like it when people see Muslims in Africa assuming they never had agency and they've lost so much. I deplore this. I think you're doing Africans down. We were not children. We had a right to choose. And many of them chose. Many did not. Like the Saxons didn't choose and the Lombards didn't choose. But the English chose. The Irish chose.
To add to this, I think what Danjuma also is saying is, on why he's illustrating
comparative,
Europe, is it's a human condition, because the same thing happened with the Romans and the Greeks. Now, the lingua franca in Rome was Greek, right? In order to be intellectual, you had to speak Greek, and you find this, and uncommon to diminishing. The Persians.
Come in front of the mic.
But did not the Romans at a particular point elevate Latin?
Afterwards,
right? Yeah. As an act of Roman sovereignty. Like it was to be Roman.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, but this is the point I'm trying to make.
Smart.
The difference is the difference I'm saying with Africa. It's like
I wasn't finished, by the way.
Go ahead, sorry. I apologize. You're right.
The point I'm trying to make is that you can see this is it's a human condition.
Yes.
That's it's between civilizations, right? There was a great civilization in the past that achieved great things. Now another civilization pops up and usurps the best of that civilization. But in order to utilize the past civilization, you must learn the language, because that language is going to give you access to the knowledge.
Yes.
So there is a bit of a snobbery that happens with people that that Latin becomes.
I get that.
But the other thing you were saying about that diminishing then one's own culture. I can guarantee you that does not happen. Look at, for example, well, with certain people anyway. If you look at the Persians, right? The Persians accepted Arabic, but they still retained a lot of their Persian.
You've been reading my essays.
The Persian philosophies that they
don't read my essays.
They were.
I do, you know. I do.
Jam long.
There's in the Islamic tradition loads of these streams of old Persian philosophy that gets mixed up and tingled up with Islamic.
No, I agree.
There's still a whole load of documentation.
Can I give an example?
Isn't that partly because the
Sure.
Arabs had a great respect for the Persian thing? And
No,
they
no,
translated
no.
it
Because Persians had already established.
No, hold on.
But I'm saying, the difference is, sorry, go on.
No, the reason why you
Let Cyrus.
okay, like historically, it's incorrect because what happened is there's a period in Baghdad and it's called al-Asabiyya.
Yes.
And that period, al-Shu'abiyya. No, al-Shu'abiyya. And al-Shu'abiyya was the period where there was an anti-Arab
You're going to happen a
sentiment
serpentine in a minute.
yes.
that was growing
which is still
amongst
present in Iran today.
What am I still doing here?
Yes.
that was growing amongst the Persians.
Yes.
The Persians and the non-Arabs
Yes.
were like subjected to the Arabs at that time.
Yes.
So the Arabs had, in fact, no respect.
reading my essays.
They had no respect for
No,
the,
but
for the
what
Persians.
I mean is, in terms of the
Yeah,
translation
I wanna make a
movement,
point before I go home.
a lot of
Like, it's gonna
the
be
text that
like,
were being translated into Arabic came from the Persians and the Greeks.
Yeah.
Now,
but you said
my
that
point
the
is,
Arabs accept,
no,
respected
they
them.
had a great respect for Persian culture in the
They
sense of the fact that they did.
The Persians looked down on the Arabs.
Yeah.
No,
they
I
did.
understand that, but
Can I make a quick point?
But he said that there was conflict. But one second. But this is my point. In translating, this is my point. In translating text from Greek, yes,
Yeah.
the Arabs did not start worshipping Zeus. Yeah, that's my point. The god of
They
the
never started
Persians.
worshipping Ishtar.
But the
either.
Greeks,
right.
no, but
That's
the
the point.
Greeks,
Right,
the,
right,
wait,
hold on,
wait,
yeah,
the
right.
Greeks had stopped
Right.
worshipping Zeus as well.
Right, but hold on.
So what is not?
But my point is,
we got you.
but my point
We
is-
got, you got took.
No,
Come on,
uncle,
we got
uncle,
it.
no, uncle,
Come here.
uncle. The
Look
Greeks,
at the camera. The Greeks.
No.
Why is
because-
he?
but
Has he shut down the camera?
No, uncle. The Greeks were
The
not.
Greeks
the
at that
Greeks
time
were not-
themselves
no,
had stopped
No, but uncle-
worshipping
no,
Zeus.
but uncle,
So
the-
what does he say to that?
But uncle, the
Have they been
Greeks-
colonized?
But uncle, the
Have the
Greeks-
Greeks been
But
colonized?
the Greeks at this point were not a significant
No, sir.
culture.
No,
They weren't
point.
significant.
Walna man, me
They-
got you. Me
No,
got you.
No, you have it, uncle. The Greeks were
Here's the point.
non-existent. They were
The
basically
Greeks,
non-existent.
For the point, the
No,
Greeks
but you
had
can't
already-
worship when you don't exist.
No, but the Greeks
at this
the
point
Greeks
are
had,
virtually
the Greeks,
non-existent.
good
If
brother,
the Romans
good
are
brother,
on
my
the
good
scene.
brother. The Greeks had voluntarily converted to Christianity. Does that make them less
that's the
Greek?
Romans.
No, the Greeks were the first. The Greeks were converted.
That's the.
I think you
The
will
Romans.
really-
No, let me make a point.
with
Can I make a point?
Neoplatonism in these
Yo.
things.
No. Wait, I gotta go. I gotta go. Let me make this point. Listen, when you talk
You know
about
the point is-
culture, no, let me have to go. Listen, cultural resilience. Cultural resilience is what's at stake here.
I agree.
When the Genghis Khan conquered the Chinese, he learned siege weaponry because he's a nomad from the Chinese. Broke through the Great Wall. What happened as early as the time as his grandson Kublai Khan? Kublai Khan became more Chinese than the Chinese.
Now, what would
Let's
it
be
be?
let me
His
land.
son more so.
No,
His son more so.
even,
He gave
no,
to
no,
the-
I want to say this for quickly, I gotta go. Because listen, the Chinese culture was so rich and sophisticated that all the Mongols had over them at that time was military superiority. Now, let us take that same example to what Brother Dawuud used. When the Arabs conquered the Persians, they only had military superiority. What made them outlast the Mongols in China? Islam. They had a doctrine. Now, when the Mongols,
when is
no,
it?
let
When
me
is
go.
Islam and when
No,
is it
no,
not
no, I'll come to this point. I ain't done yet.
what happened
Yet. Now the Mongols say, we're going back to Genghis Khan again. His grandson Hilegu. When Hilegu invaded, we know what happened. They crushed the Abbasid Khalif 1258. They destroyed Persia. What happened? 2 generations, Il-Khanate. The Mongols disappeared. Il-Khanate. Why? The culture of Persia was resilient. It was resilient before Islam, and when you put Islam on it, it was doubly resilient.
Because it was able to adapt.
Right. What I'm trying to say is, when
a human condition.
it's a human condition. Now, when Islam entered Africa in the north,
It is also the human condition for people to want to defend their culture.
I agree.
No, but do you
And
know
you
why?
should want
Do you
to.
know
So I'm
why
saying-
the Iranians were able to adapt
Go on.
to the arrival of Islam?
Go on.
As an
Is
Iranian.
because their starting position.
Yes.
So let's take Zoroastrianism as one of the Iranian
Yes,
religions.
yes,
Written into Zoroastrianism
Yes.
is progressiveness.
yes,
Adaptation is part of that doctrine.
Yes.
So they were able to adapt to
Yes.
the incoming influence.
yes.
However, what is there now
Yes.
is not what arrived in the first place.
Right.
Right. So we see the dawn of Shia Islam,
Yes.
Sufism, and so on.
I assume that you're not a Shia.
I'm
You're Quranist.
and I'm
Nah.
almost anti-religion.
All right. Okay. All right. Cool.
Spiritual. But I think we could even call them like the Shia Islam or the Islam that grew in Iran
Yes.
is almost a crypto Zoroastrianism
Right.
or
Stop
even
that.
or crypto Manichaeism.
Which is an interesting point. That
He said
it's an interesting point that you're making. It's a very interesting point that you're making. What we were actually discussing is the difference between what happens
In
what happened
Africa.
in Africa.
And I'm saying,
And I'm
Sheikh Anta Diop said if African religions were as resilient, they would have withstood it. Like how we would have absorbed
Well,
Islam like the Mongols.
is
you
it-
can
is it-
we
you
have
can
been
argue.
absorbed.
It can be
The
argued.
The truth is, we
It
have
can
to
be
accept
argued.
we didn't have any damn writing.
It can be argued.
You're not accepting the shacks.
can be
We have had
argued.
3 discussions about this.
No,
we did
Uncle,
not have
but
resilient.
Uncle, it can be argued that the existence of these traditions today is a testimony to their resilience. Yeah, but
You mean
the
Orisha?
fact that
Ifa?
not just Orisha and Ifa.
Where
There are many African spiritual traditions.
Show me
that
another
are-
one.
that are-
The Zulu one.
The Dogon is still
The
existing.
Dogon.
Yes.
The Dogon is a
There are
minority
many.
in
There are many. Why
Banjagara.
are they a minority? though?
Yeah, it's a small
They're a
one.
minority because of
We see, we're
repression.
repeating ourselves. We cannot know
yeah,
this.
no, but we
cannot.
can.
You see, the problem is because there was
Let me
no
explain how
writing.
we can know. Let me-
Because there's no writing,
Uncle,
we
Uncle.
cannot know
No,
this.
Uncle, no, Uncle.
Are you
Let
saying
me
the
explain.
culture
Let me
was
explain.
repressed then?
Yes, I am definitely. I'm saying that categorically.
Yes, but
what's it
if-
called? Hold on,
why
let me-
wasn't
let
the
me say,
culture
Let me say.
From
People
another
call
me
from the outside
Persians.
force.
Hey, why they're
Hold on.
still around?
We must look at it.
Why?
My
Why are the
Muslim,
Persians
hold on.
still around?
My Muslim brothers and sisters.
But
yeah?
it's very complex,
In all
you know,
fairness, hold
it's
on.
very
I agree, it is complex. I'm not trying to be simplistic.
Ask him that.
Right, hold on, one
Ask
second.
him that.
Before
We're gonna ask him.
you answer.
I made that point.
Hold on. My Muslim brothers and sisters, hold on. My Muslim brothers and sisters, I asked you last week, you know, if
Yeah.
somebody came.
We wouldn't like it.
right,
We wouldn't like
you
it.
would not like
We
it.
would not
It
like
doesn't
it
matter
at all.
what. It doesn't
But
matter
they didn't
what.
like- the
Hold on.
Persians didn't like that.
Hold on. It doesn't matter what technology that you get. If you lose Allah and His Prophet,
Yes.
it don't matter.
The Persians
Right.
didn't like
Hold
it.
on. One
When
second.
they
One
brought
second.
their Islam to
What
them.
I'm saying is, if you were can attest
Yep.
to the fact, yeah, that of the benefit that Islam as a religion and the Ummah in general gathered from being able to access scientific wisdom from other cultures and bring them into the fold of Islam.
We can't reduce that only
Yeah,
to
exactly.
scientific.
That's a false choice.
Hold on.
That's
I'm
an
not
impossible
reducing it.
choice.
I'm not reducing it to
That's an
science.
impossible
What I'm saying
choice.
is, the Arabic was already established as the religion, as the language. Arabic was already established
lingua franca
as
for
the language of the religion. There was no way that that Arabic was going to be supplanted as the language of Islam. Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
that's fine,
right.
but that's
Because it was
International
revealed
currency.
because the Quran was revealed
International currency.
in Arabic.
Yep, international
So
currency.
from that basis now,
Very good language, you know.
but I'm
A very good language.
We're not challenging.
Yes,
The,
we
the,
love.
the, yeah, that's fine, right? However,
sound language.
then now it established itself because of the expansion as a language of trade. But in order to facilitate its functionality into the future, it needs to validate itself as a language of science and technology. And I'm saying that but by absorbing this knowledge, they were able to do that. But the fundamental thing is that because they didn't just take it, they didn't force Muslims to learn Greek or the Persian language. They translated it into Arabic.
Wonderful stuff.
It's beautiful for Muslims to be able to access it in the language of their religion.
International currency.
And so
Like how we all
what
speak
they have
English
done,
here.
hold on, but what they have done, because the fact is that not all Arabs were Muslim, but even the non-Muslim Arabs would have benefited from this Because the language is a reflection of their culture. So their culture is advancing because their language is becoming functional. I am saying that when you take if with that, let's keep the Arabic script, but write in Wolof.
We do it.
And write in Soninke,
Oh!
right? Hold on.
You know how many writings there are in Arabic?
Yes, but we dealt with this already, Uncle.
Professor,
But we
but you
already.
said that. I gotta come in now. Professor, what's his name? The Walking Quran. Who wrote the Walking Quran? Rudolf Ware. Professor Rudolf Ware says there were more literate people in Senegal in the 19th century than in France.
Europe, yeah.
Right? In terms of what they were using. They were using the Arabic.
Charles Williams makes that argument as well. I just wanna make
Let's
that
be
point.
land.
Yeah.
No, let's
as
be.
well.
Gah,
He's-
gah.
he's- he's as well,
My
right?
eye, my eye.
Seriously, the same point you just made, you made some point in the book. I'm not lying.
You like
Yeah?
to make me make jokes. I want to be when I want to be serious.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, here's my point. Okay. They were more literate because people don't reckon literacy in local languages or in Arabic script. They were not considered to be literate people. What I am saying is this: Islam Arabic is an international currency.
Why?
Congo is a local currency. Twi is a local currency.
Why?
We can use
Based
our
on
local
what?
currency. Arabic
on what?
became a local currency. No, but it is. Look, stop. We can't. Let's stop interrupting. I deal with the world as it is, not the way I think I want it to be. African culture has been influenced by Islam for centuries. You cannot say this is not an African religion. Arabic language has been in Africa since 640 AD in different parts of North and Africa and Sudan, Chad, Niger. It developed its own form. If you listen to the Arabic of Sudan, you will hear it reflects the environment and the culture where it is. For example, if I use, let's be, no, wait a minute, guys, wait a minute. Guys, wait a minute. Brothers, wait a minute. Nigga trying to land here, man. What's wrong with y'all? No, I hate this foolishness. That's why I do lectures, and I don't have debates. Because people keep interrupting. No, I forgot what I was going to say. I'm an old man.
No, you were saying that the.
No, you have an Arabic. Okay. So you got Arabic in the Sudan.
Yeah.
It's indigenized. So, for example, you got a word like Gongolese. Gongolese. That same word is bui in Wolof. Gongolese is the baobab drink. The baobab drink. You will never see that word in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Egypt, Lebanon, Syria. That's an African Arabic word, Gongolese. The tree, the baobab tree in Sudan is called Tebeldia. Tebeldia. You don't go and find that word in the Yemen. You don't find that word in Iraq. You don't find that word in Kuwait. So what I am trying to say is you go as far as Morocco, Mauritania, they have their own kind of Arabic. So languages do indigenize. He speaks a brand of English that is unintelligible. If we start speaking it, white man can't understand us. If we start speaking, me understand. Them man can't understand. Allow me to tell.
They're getting there now, though. You know.
They can't understand. Yeah, true, because Bob Marley made it an international currency. You see, that's my point.
But if you go to the bush, they still couldn't understand. If you go to the bush, they still couldn't
currency.
understand. Yeah, true.
Jamaican language is now an international. If you're a Jamaican from London, you could go to Toronto and speak to a Jamaican in Patois or Jamaican language. Let's call it Jamaican language,
yes.
right? And a man in Fort Lauderdale and speak the language.
I don't deny
So it's an internationalization and indigenization of a language. While we would say, no, it's really no. An African would say,
Yeah, but I would
no.
say what he said.
What we're talking about is whether Islam and Arabic is foreign to Africa. I am saying it is. I gave the example of Europe. I'm surprised you're telling me you don't know what we're talking about, because I gave the comparative example of Europe. Europe has not been damaged by Christianity.
I'm saying, what is his contention?
He's asking what my contention
No,
is.
his contention is
He's
treating Africans like children. You're treating my people like children.
No, I'm not, Uncle. I'm not. Because I agree that the Africans can exercise agency.
Yes.
Right? But I'm saying that.
And voluntarily become
I'm
Muslims.
saying that exercising like I said, you can be an agent of your own destruction. So the fact of exercising
And you
agency,
can be an agent of your own construction.
Yeah, I agree. But were we agents
Content
of our,
Islam was
when
good.
when Mamadou Koyate manufactured lineage for the Mali kings, was he an agent of his own construction? No, he was manufacturing a lineage to manufacture validity.
I'm gonna hit him hard now. I'm coming hard. I was gonna go home, but now we got me here. I'm hitting him hard now.
In a religion,
I'm hitting him hard.
Watch
Watch this one I'm coming with. Faith.
Past bedtime.
Yeah,
So what I'm saying,
watch
Brother
it.
Dawuud, what my contention is this.
Man,
Right?
hold on, lullaby again.
My
I'm gonna sing a
contention is this.
lullaby.
In relation
No.
to- in
I'm
relation
gonna
to-
come in now.
in re-
Oduduwa. Oduduwa.
I know.
Hey,
Where you
where did
going with this?
Oduduwa come from?
Where you going with this?
You are saying that the
Yes.
Mamadou Kouyate, the griot of Mali,
Yes.
was attaching his lineage to Bilal.
Yes.
What about the kingdom of or the empire of Oyo, Oduduwa? They say they come from Oduduwa. You know where Oduduwa is from? Lamrudu. Where's Lamrudu from? Mecca.
That's incorrect,
These people were not even.
That's
Hey,
incorrect, but
so
that's
you know
incorrect.
that. So
No,
why
but
you
that's incorrect.
why you putting
But
on
that's
Muslims?
incorrect. No.
Why you putting on Muslims?
But that's incorrect. Tom.
Why you put it? It's not.
It is.
Brother, I
It
can
is.
bring 10
No,
books
it
now.
is. No, it is. No. Uncle,
Yes,
they
the Yoruba.
They don't say
the Yoruba.
No, they don't
No,
say
they have
no.
two origins. Ile-Ife is one of,
Exactly.
no, because it's two
where-
different
but to
people.
say where- no, but to
The
say
Yoruba
where-
are not one
but to
people.
say where Oduduwa came from,
They said he come from Mecca.
you know what? Dawuud, can I say something, right?
Foolishness.
I am not going to deny, seriously, that there are Africans today who
I was
might make
an
that
Orisha
claim.
man.
Just like
You're talking to an
just
old
like
Orisha man.
there are Ashanti talking about they come from Israel today, right?
Rubbish
Just what I'm
again.
saying. It happens.
Yeah, but you're putting on
So
Islam.
I'm not- so I'm not-
Before, I'm gonna time. Last week I gave him a pass.
No.
He's tying it to Islam.
No, uncle.
And
uncle,
Yoruba
uncle,
are not Muslims.
Uncle, no, but uncle.
When they were doing it.
Uncle.
Let's
but
deal
uncle,
with
but
it
uncle,
now.
but uncle, there
I
are.
ain't going home now.
But
I
uncle,
ain't going home.
but uncle, the fact of the matter is that cultural imperialism does produce these things. The oldest stories of Oduduwa will tell you that he came from a place called some people say Misri or Msiri, which is the Nile
Egypt.
Valley, which is the Nile Valley, right? So I'm saying that. So
He
I'm,
did not.
no,
They
but
say
those are
Mecca.
but those are
They
the
say Mecca.
I'm categorically saying that the oldest
Yeah, I'm not
stories
categorically
will tell you that
saying.
he came from the Nile Valley, right?
It's
So I'm
not
saying,
true. They say they
Uncle,
come
come on
from
now.
Mecca.
Uncle, come on now.
But it doesn't
They
matter.
say they
Let's
come
keep
from
it-
Mecca.
Okay.
Okay, but they come from somewhere else.
Yeah, okay, fair
Right.
enough.
So
But
wait
there
first.
are
So wait
various.
first. What's the difference if they came? Look, they said Mecca.
I'm trying to explain to Brother
They
Dawuud what my
said
contention is.
Mecca. They said Mecca. They
Fine.
were not Muslims
Fine.
when they said it.
Fine.
They said that
Fine.
they were chased out of
So why
there
would they say
because of
Mecca?
their mushrikeen. They are this thing. They said they were chased
Yeah.
out of there.
Yes.
Now, my point is this. People like to always attach their lineage to something
But you
else.
just challenged.
No,
Dr.
you
Ben,
challenged.
Dr. Ben.
You
on the
challenged.
basis of
So,
manufacturing lineage.
you challenged Kouyate,
So I'm
the
saying
Muslims of
I
Mali.
am challenging Kouyate.
I'm
but
not
I'm
gonna
being-
challenge
but
Oduduwa.
I'm, but I'm being open about
I'm going
it.
to challenge,
No, but
and I'm
uncle,
challenging
but uncle, you
Oduduwa,
can't
who was
challenge
not a
Dr. Ben.
Muslim.
But uncle, you can't-
Oduduwa was not a Muslim.
Of course.
And he's challenging it because he thinks that this guy is a Muslim. Bilal is a Muslim.
He's
He's challenging it because Bilal is a Muslim.
I'm disagreeing with the fact that
So you like Oduduwa?
Of course, all praises to
It's a
Oduduwa.
mystery. It's
Right?
a mystery.
Yes, but so
You meant
right.
to say Allah. though.
Yeah. Olodumare. You meant to say Olodumare.
Right, but and there is sorry, can I say more is coming to light at the moment in terms of the linguistics that would suggest this, because some are saying that words like Olurun are derived from words like Ra in Kemet.
Yeah.
Right? You know
What
what I'm
about
saying?
Obatala? Obatala. What about Obatala? You see? What about Obatala?
There are studies on that as well.
Obatala.
There are studies on that as
It's
well. But I'm
Arabic.
not. But
It
I'm
can
not
be
as
Arabic.
convinced. And
You see,
but
we
uncle,
can
no, but
all
uncle,
do-
everybody knows that there are Arabic
People
borrow
borrow,
words
but
in
cultures
Yoruba.
borrow.
But this is a good
Cultures
example.
borrow.
But the there are borrowed words. But the Yoruba religion is still Ifa. You know what I'm saying? So to borrow a word is not cultural abortion. That's not what we're talking about.
Good.
Right. Hold on. Right.
You're
So
with me.
my contention is
What's
that
your contention?
when you look at Africa and how we've adopted not just Islam, but obviously I'm talking to Muslims, so that's the central point, right? What's it called? But foreign religions, we often adopted them with with notions of the superiority of the people from which the religions came.
So the Yoruba didn't do that?
So, one second, Uncle.
The Yoruba didn't do that?
Please, Uncle. One second, right? One second, right?
Is that
So,
the fault of the
so when
foreigner
it comes
or
to
the indigenous people?
it's us, but the Afrocentrist is trying to correct us.
So the Yoruba
yeah.
didn't
So
do
I'm
that?
saying, I want to go right. So I'm saying that. So when we talk about Arabic and its role in West Africa, for example, we cannot just take the language as though it was just purely a language of trade, as though it didn't come with a religion, as though it didn't come with a culture, as though that religion and that culture didn't come with an inbuilt judgment of our indigenous spirituality and culture, and as a result of adopting
Give
the
us some
religion.
items. Okay, let's items now.
Uncle,
No, I want
African traditional religions.
I want
African
the specifics.
No, but it's true.
I want
African
specifics.
traditional
I want
religions.
specifics.
Hold on.
Give
Yeah,
me an
I'm
idea
going
of
to
what
give you
they removed.
specifics. I'm
Give me
saying
some
to you.
specifics.
No, because
Can we
on
open up
the
the
basis.
conversation,
Yes,
though,
but on the
and make
basis.
it more
Yes,
beneficial?
I was trying to answer your question. But on the
4
basis.
minds is
Yeah,
better than
no,
2
I agree.
minds.
Hasn't been beneficial, Silver.
But on the basis of the fact, that when you read a holy book that has words like disbeliever, unbeliever, pagan, heathen, kafir, and them kind of things
It's
there,
one word here,
right?
right? You just said one word.
Menor.
Why do you use 5
I'm
words?
giving because we
You're
because we have
influence.
speak
You're
English.
an influencer.
Because we have speak
You're an
English.
influencer.
No, I'm
Use
giving.
5 words.
Yeah, I am. Because I'm giving the number of ways that the words are translated into English. So when I read the Quran, it doesn't just say kafir. It says disbeliever. It will say pagan. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So I'm giving.
Don't say pagans though. You see polytheists.
Polytheist, you're correct, right? Yeah, right. And I'm saying that. So I'm saying that once. So if an African receives this and says and receives the understanding of these things, he's going to. There's an inbuilt judgment. Based on what he's already got.
But we've acknowledged that outside of Africa,
Yes.
not everyone internalized the religion like that. So why is it, that Africans, the indigenous people that are African, took it on in that way? They took on the denigration of their.
Chancellor Williams. No, joking. No, I'm not joking.
They took on the denigration of their own culture. Now, outside of the spiritual religion.
Yes.
Yeah, because obviously our thing is not dealing with the religion, but
Yes.
in terms of the culture,
Yes.
devoid of the religion,
Yes.
that was not something they had to.
But you
They had
see-
to give up or secede to.
But you're saying that, but it's not as simple as that because I'm. Okay, go on. Let me
Okay.
speak. Go on, sorry.
Look, if you look historically speaking,
Yes.
how Islam, and it's quite unique to Islam, right?
Yes.
There's a tradition amongst the Uzbeks which dates 5,000
The who,
years.
sorry, the who?
Uzbeks,
Central Asia.
which dates back to 5,000 years, which is they steal brides.
Yes.
Right, to this day they do it. Right, they're Muslims. So Islam, what Islam does, and this is what Islam did in Mecca. It does not necessarily eradicate the religion. It does not a culture.
Yes.
It does not get rid of a culture.
Yes.
What it does is Islam is very good in mixing in with the culture.
Yes.
And that's why
Yes.
if you go to the Malay
Yes.
Muslims,
Yes.
their Islam is going to be slightly different.
Different, yes.
The way how they express it.
Ask a question.
This is the utopia.
How is that different?
There's for example.
Because of Islam or despite Islam?
No, it's
That is the question.
it's because Islam facilitates.
But how is that different to Christianity anywhere in the world?
Let me.
No, we're not arguing on
How is that
that.
different?
We're not arguing on the guise of Christianity, though, innit? That's
No, what I'm saying is,
No, it's
if you
not,
go to Christians,
Let me give you an example
Sorry,
of
go
that.
on,
There's a historian, Idrisi,
yes,
Arabic historian,
you know who you're
12th
talking.
century.
Yes,
Great, Idris.
yes,
He talks of an
Yes.
encounter.
Writing in Arabic.
yes, we know,
He
yes,
talks of an encounter when he traveled to West Africa.
yes,
And in West Africa, he meets he sees this phenomena, which was there would be man
yes,
and
woman,
females.
yes. Ibn Battuta made the same observation. Yes,
Yeah. Now, that observation you're aware of.
Yes.
And that's what I'm trying to say when there's when Islam as a religion manifests itself
Yes.
differently because it facilitates that
Yes.
vacuum
Yes.
for elasticity.
Right.
Islam is a very elastic religion.
Right. Can I ask a question though?
Yeah.
How is that different
Yeah.
to Christianity?
To Christianity.
Whereas,
why is it
whereas,
unique to Islam?
whereas, because if you go to Africans who are Christians
Yeah.
have things that are unique to Africans who are Christians.
Yeah.
You go to the Middle East and there are people in Russia.
Are we attaching?
yeah,
Are we attaching it to people who entered Africa with Christianity, or are we?
Both. I'm saying that the Christianity in Ethiopia is different to the Christianity in Russia, even though they're both Orthodox. Right? You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm trying to say. I'm saying the Christianity, the Christianity, even the Christianity that came to West Africa with the invasion, straight invasion, is they worship different, to man in Europe with the same religion. Right? So the Anglican Church in Africa don't look the same as the Anglican Church in England.
Jesus is still white. He's still blonde.
There's man running.
And the whole population black.
That could be true, but that would just confirm what we said earlier on about human conditions. That there are certain things that humans do.
Yes.
However, if you want to ask me about why it's so unique, it's the chronology of history. Okay, there's this culture hegemony of European colonialism and the way it was imposed on the rest of the world, the way it's imposed onto the Philippines, the Philippines and rest. It's not the same way that
I don't argue it's exactly the same. I argue that some of the differences.
But there are differences basically.
But I'm saying that some of the differences that the man are trying to draw, this happens every week. What man ever get tired of this? Like, I don't understand. Like at the end of the night, everyone's just start shouting. It's really,
after the sun goes down, that's when the devils come out.
it's really ridiculous. Anyway, my only point is that the extent to which people are trying to create a difference between Europeans and Islam and Europeans and Christianity, Arabs and Islam, Africans in Christianity and Africans in Islam is wishful thinking. The chasm that you're trying to draw is ahistorical.
I shall draw it for
right?
you.
Can
I come in? I desire to draw the chasm.
Can you highlight what this denigration of the African culture is?
I desire to draw the chasm.
Other than the religions, what
Can
else?
I do this?
How does it characterize itself?
Can I draw the chasm? First of all, Christianity arrived with a bang. Christianity went straight for your minerals. It began digging out your diamonds, your gold. It had your Cecil Rhodes. It had your, what's the guy with the rubber cut in all people's hands in the Congo? Leopold. So it was attached to kingdoms and East Africa and West Africa companies. It was attached to exploitative organizations. Islam
Organized, centralized.
It was complete. He knows this. Islam arrived much earlier. Islam arrived a third world man meeting another third world man. This is not how he was going to bring up the Portuguese again, to which I will say, at the end of the day, the Christians had an exploitative agenda, which they realized by colonizing the country by the Berlin Conference of 1884. The Arabs did not do this. So there's a gulf and a chasm. When you talk about a third world man coming to you, it's like the Mongols went to China. The Mongols were even inferior to the Chinese. The Arabs went to the Persians. The Arabs were culturally inferior to the Persians. When the Arabs came to us in Nubia, we were culturally superior to them. Right now, what I'm trying to say is this: that was conquest. But let's go but still the Persians were conquered. But they survived it. Now I'm saying, what I'm trying to say is this: if we were not resilient, that's a function of history, and your man Chancellor Williams talks about it. What I am saying is this: writing was one of our downfalls. If you go to a Bengali mosque, they've got the Quran in Arabic and Sanskrit, right? They know who they are. We as a people did not have our things in writing to have a coherent intellectual defense. When Akbar the Great, the Mughals, invaded and conquered India, they had to contend with their Hindu subjects. Akbar entered into dialogue with them. He brought them into his divan, his court. They were Hindu, Muslim, Jain, and Buddhist. And Akbar, they have the joke about Akbar. They said he was a secret, was a panther, all religion, defender of all faiths, because he was so convinced by Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, because they had writings. They could sit down and debate. This is what we say. It's here. The Africans, according to Sheikh Anta Diop, their religion was already weak on its legs. When Islam came, it said, brothers, it's simple. One God, one book, one prophet. I don't think you can. I know you don't like what I'm saying.
No.
It's an inconvenient truth.
Can I ask a question?
It's an inconvenient truth.
Can I ask a question? As far as West Africa is concerned,
Sheikh Anta Diop says so.
Yeah, as far as West Africa,
we can't argue Sheikh Anta Diop.
When did the majority? Some say to the tune of like half, at least half, of the conversions to Islam take place? What period of time?
I need to know it. Structure the question so it's clear.
Okay, so I'm saying that in terms of West Africa, we know
Yes.
that Islam was there in West Africa,
Yep.
like
Tekru,
established
from Tekru.
from the 11th century.
Tekru Kanambonu.
Yeah.
No,
So-
Tekru earlier.
No, the Tekru.
Okay, don't quibble.
Yeah,
Let's go.
it's 11th century.
Kanambonu is 9th century.
Yes.
Kanambonu
It goes
9th.
back to 9th century.
Kanambonu, yes.
But
Very
Kanem-
early,
Okay,
very
let's
early.
All right.
let's make
I
it
could
one.
I could debate
Kanembonu
whether
9th
the
century.
Kanem because Kanembonu was not an empire in the 9th century. So I could debate
But
whether
Islam was there.
No, but I could debate whether the Kanem were actually Muslim in the 9th century, but I won't.
But it does go
let's
back to
say,
the 9th
But let me
century.
ask this question.
let's say it was there, yeah. But when is the majority? Some say the majority, some say half, of the Muslim conversions in West Africa. So I'm saying that.
First of all, the
so I'm saying
majority
that-
of West Africa may not be Muslim today. Maybe it's still half-half.
No, yeah, but I'm
So
but,
that- so your
but the
point
other half
is-
might be
your
Christian.
point is- your
but
point
the
is
other half might be
logic.
Christian. No, but the other half might be Christian.
Yeah, but-
so I'm saying a lot of the Muslims in West Africa
Yes.
today, when did a lot of that conversion take place?
That conversion took place. I'm glad you asked that.
Yes.
Because that wasn't a culture shock. It was a gradual process from the 9th century, and it's an ongoing process.
I agree.
Actually, the
Yeah.
Manding Jula are still
Yeah.
converting people in the
But I mean,
Ivory
but-
Coast.
okay, let me
No,
put-
listen,
would
I
you
want
think
to
so?
get
Go on.
get where he's going. I
Yeah.
want to get where he's going.
Would you
No, but
agree?
put
would you
this
agree
in
with me?
perspective,
Yes,
right?
go.
Syria, for example, it took Syria 500 years to get 50%.
Right.
So
500
agency,
years.
so agency,
Hold on.
the people had the right to refuse.
England
For-
took 1,000 years
He's
to become
making that
Christian.
point.
No, hold on.
Eesa, he's making the point.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people had the right to refuse. They chose to refuse and
No,
they chose
it's
to
not
convert.
as simple as that. It's not as simple as that, right?
Oh,
However,
yeah, agenda written up. Chancellor Williams coming in
I
there.
have an agenda. I've made my agenda clear. Right, what's it called?
I like your agenda.
Right, exactly.
I
Right, what's it
respect
called?
it.
But I'm saying that a significant amount of these conversions took place in the 1800s. Yeah? In the 1800s.
Why?
I'm not saying that Islam wasn't there
Why?
before. I'm saying that a
so-
significant
and
number
what's the point?
of conversions in
And-
West Africa. Well, what was taking place in the 1800s as
In
far
the
as Islam is concerned?
1800s, the Muslims began to react against the slave trade, and they began to react by jihads.
Jihad,
Yes, they
right?
began to react by jihad.
We're doing that in the 16th century also.
But
We
the
have
context,
documents
the context that you put in on it, I believe there is some truth to it, and the fact that
Professor Rudolph
yeah,
Ware,
hold on, yeah, and
Professor
the fact that, hold on,
Professor
and the
Sylvian
fact that-
Juice,
yes, I know,
Professor
and
Rudolph Ware.
I'm aware,
Yeah.
and the fact that many Africans converted because the Muslims became
What, in the 18th century?
Bilal
no,
Ware.
the 19th century.
19th? Well, I don't
a significant aspect, a significant
I do
number.
disagree with
But I'm
that.
saying, but what is a fact is that this jihad movement that began to take place.
Yep.
Some of it was against
European penetration.
penetration, but when it went in terms of its in-house manifestations,
Yeah.
there was a lot of conversions
Yeah.
from Africans who are Muslim in relation to Africans who are not Muslim.
Okay.
You asked about in what ways were things desecrated. Uncle mentioned Kanem Bornu.
Yep.
One of the reasons that things that made Kanem Bornu weak at a stage in its history
Yeah.
is that there's a traditionalist shrine that was known as Moon, M-U-N-E. Yes, Witness mentioned this to me the other day, and I had heard about it, and I went
Yeah.
and done more research.
Go on.
And a Muslim king, and I'm forgetting the name of the king, so I apologize.
Yeah.
I don't know why I forget the name of his king. Anyway, but because he had a campaign within the empire to convert those who were not Muslim. Because in all these Muslim empires, there were significant aspects of the empire that were not Muslim. People that didn't want to convert.
Yeah.
Some people migrated out of the empire.
Yeah.
All kinds of different things were going on.
Yeah.
And so within that context, there was this king, in order to demonstrate the superiority of Islam, went and desecrated the people them shrine. Yeah, and it caused problems in the empire to the point where even people that were close to him, some say even his own son, said that was you can't do that, right? Just what I'm saying, and then kind of thing. But the fact that he did it caused problems, and I'm saying that's one example that was done many times over, whereby people's shrines, the Christians did it, you know, but the Muslims did it as well, and Africans who were Muslims did it as well because they didn't feel like, as a reflection of their religion, they had to respect traditionalist religions. This happened, and I'm saying that the marginalization of traditionalists in traditional religions is evident in Africa today.
I'm saying
It's
that's-
not even like it's
Bro,
obscure.
my point is, I'm saying is that seems to be the only element of the African culture that has been done away
no,
with
it's
and
not.
denigrated. That's why I'm asking you
Not
for example.
only that.
it
I'm
can't
asking
be.
you for example
All right.
outside of
example
that.
of
Yeah,
Europe.
no,
Yeah.
it's a good point. First of all,
I gave the example.
First of all, but
You've had a
it's-
fair crack. Can I have a
Go.
go? Right. You see, you're given the example of where Islam was imposed by force. But I'm saying to you, in Europe, in parts, Christianity was imposed by force.
But you're focusing on force. I'm not focusing on force.
Why do you interrupt? Right. Now, in Europe, there are many other parts, it was not imposed by force.
Yeah, it's
Now,
very-
in Africa, it is like your brother said, it is the human condition. In parts of Africa, yes, Islam was imposed by force by Africans. In other parts, it was not imposed by force. I give you an example of my own upbringing. I went to a Catholic school.
Yes.
I have Orisha in my family. I got Hindu in my family. I got Muslims in my family. I grew up in a house. My father was very religiously eclectic.
Yes.
My brothers became Catholics. By the age of 13, they gave them a ring,
Yes.
and they gave them a new name, and told them, you are now members of the Catholic faith. My father felt this was a good thing because you're living in, it's like a bar mitzvah.
Confirmation.
Yeah, confirmation is the name of it. Now, he allowed this, saying that this is the religion for the Western world. Here's what one of my things my father believed. Islam is good for boys, but Christianity is good for girls. He said Christianity is too hard, Islam is too hard for girls. But it's a good religion for men. It's a manly religion. It's not a girlish religion. Now,
Ashe.
now, when I got to my this thing, I'm the third boy. Well, the fourth actually, but one grew up abroad. I refused to have the ring. I exercised agency. And my father was inwardly very proud. And of course, it made it that I had to do all the halal slaughter. We had a butcher shop. Now, the job to do all the halal slaughter followed me. I had to do all the
showing dedication.
Yeah. So I put myself.
sunnah, you know.
I put, at the end of Wahala, I put myself in problem. Now, what I'm trying to say is, many people in Africa did this. You have Yoruba families like that. This one is a Muslim.
I agree.
That one is an Orisha.
I agree.
This is a Christian. People,
agree.
people exercise. People exercise agency. Do not do Africans down. We had our own minds. If we,
But Uncle, you're making a point that I'm not making.
I know you're trying to talk about. You
my
say we
own
can. Well, the agency can be against. I heard you,
Yeah.
but the agency can be for you. Why do you only seeing this glass half empty?
Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
You keep doing
last
that.
week. Last week we discussed that there are African
you're brilliant, by
retentions.
the way.
Yeah.
There are African retentions in people's practice of Islam.
Yes.
And I acknowledge this.
Yes.
Because I also said that there are some Muslims who would regard those people
As not Muslim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Or
I stand in here.
right, you see what I'm saying, right? You see what I'm saying? So I accept this. I'm not
Yeah,
denying
yeah.
that this exists. You're focusing on force, Uncle. I am not focusing on force. I am
soft
saying
power, even soft power.
Yeah. What I'm saying
Even
is
soft power.
but what I'm saying is that one cannot deny that Arabic
Yep.
as they operated in Mali and Songhai as empires did a lot, to
Do away with the
right. That's what I'm saying. So in terms of the it elevated the usage and the functionality of Arabic.
Yeah.
It gave Arabic a greater sphere of influence.
It gave us an international
Right.
currency.
All that kind of stuff.
International
All that
currency.
kind- right?
Also,
However,
but
we can't.
also-
That can't be. One second.
also-
But that can't be denied. But I'm saying that.
But it didn't only
Was
did
that
that.
a passive
But
thing
hold
though,
on,
Shaka?
Habibi. It didn't only do that.
What do you mean?
It didn't just enhance Arabic and its functionality.
Yes, go.
What it did, it was enhance the minds of human beings also.
But I'm saying
This-
that.
it-
But I'm
it-
saying that.
also,
But I'm saying that the minds of. But this is the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
Therefore, feeding.
I think that's problematic still.
But that's what
To
I'm
say
saying.
that the
So
Arabic
feeding-
opened up the people's
The
minds as
feeding,
often they didn't
no,
have-
but he's not wrong in
Yeah.
the sense of the fact that
No,
because the
he's right.
Arabic, because the Arabic had by this time the Arabic had documents of science and technology, astronomy, all the kind of things there within it. So a lot of the time, what people in Timbuktu were doing similar things. They were translating,
Already,
right? What's it called? They were copying, so scripting documents from Mecca and Medina and Cairo that were in Arabic that they could learn from.
What I was
So
saying
that's
was
you're
what I was
right.
saying was
Sorry, my
problematic.
only
it
argument is
didn't-
that
yeah.
it's possible for that to have been done in Wolof and Soninke, and Mande,
but it was
right?
happening
It's
already,
possible.
you know this, right?
But I do know this.
those languages.
But
Which writing?
yes, I do know this.
With which
But-
form of writing, Tifina?
What do you mean, sorry?
Which form of
No,
right?
that was the point I was trying to make.
no,
As
what you're
it
doing,
seemed
this
as
is
though
the
you were
thing.
saying that the
Because
people weren't given to
can I
learn
ask a
prior
question?
to Arabic.
Is
Because
the
the
Arabic
European
script?
language
Hold
is
on. Can I ask a question? Is the Arabic script religious or cultural?
Both.
Right. Now I'm saying it's possible,
Like
that
Latin.
I don't mind, but this is the point I'm trying to make. The script thing, I get the point that you're making with the script. I still stand by the statement that if we never got the Arabic script, Africans would have developed writing. I have no doubt about that.
Okay.
Right? And a scientifically literate tradition because.
Last week you pulled me up on that. Last week, so I'm going to pull you up on it. Last week you did pull me up on it. And you were right, too. I made an assumption.
Yes.
My assumption I made was this. I said if the Yoruba had expanded their empire so wide an extent that it became contiguous
coming
with...
back.
Yes, sir.
Why do you leave? Let him not go.
No, he's got
He's got my things.
He has to address nature.
He's got my things.
Oh, Dawuud, the walking stick. No, leave the walking stick. Leave the walking stick.
Because I may wish to leave. Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's all right. You forgot what I'm saying. Now, what I'm saying is this. I said last week, if the Yoruba, Oyo, I know I have to go to, with the Oyo Empire had expanded to become contiguous with, say, the Oromo, and the Oromo only believe in one God, they would have
Another
fought,
3-hour clip,
and the one
I know,
would
fam.
have tried,
Been here for a while.
the one would have tried to impose their religion on the other.
Yeah.
And you said to me, given the nature of African culture, this is not a likely hair. It's not. So I am saying the same about the point you just made there. How can we tell they would have developed writing? How can we tell?
Because there's evidence of rudimentary writing scripts. I did, and by the way, I made a mistake last week as well. I said the Mande. What I was talking about is the Insibidi. There's a script called Insibidi.
Insibidi,
Yeah. What's it called? Right. That was existing. Yeah.
Yep.
So I made that mistake. So I apologize for that. But
Would-
I'm saying that. But I'm saying. But
without the
one second,
international trade, would it
One
have
second.
developed?
But you say international trade.
Yes.
As though it's a matter of fact that didn't come with conquest and colonization. This is the point I'm trying to make. So we
Or
cannot.
we don't be going back in time.
No,
like North
but
Africa
yeah,
only.
but we cannot. But we can't say just the North as though the international trading relationships were not facilitated by that thing. When you know, there's certain documents. There's certain documents here. Yeah, we talked about earlier, whereby when the Muslims were writing in relation to like the invasion of Nubia, yeah, they describe themselves not as the Arabs but the Muslims. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. So their intentions are clear in terms of what it is they've come to do. Yeah, and in what name they're coming in. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So I'm saying that when it comes to when it comes to one of the problems that we have today as Africans is that this perception of our culture being local and not being able to function on the international level persists. No, but
I said the Yoruba has done it.
no, you
and
said
I've explained how.
they were doing it, yes. But I'm saying that. But you said,
Yoruba done
but you made a statement that African
very well
religions
over.
are local. But I'm saying that.
Yes,
But I'm saying that. But I'm saying that on the
you
language
help me?
front,
Can you pull this up?
this is a similar perception because we are not teaching maths and science in our own languages. So to access to European languages today is a requirement for learning and academic achievement today. And I'm saying that how can it be different when you've got a university system that is built upon being able to access Arabic in a certain context? And not only that, because of the fact that we have evidence of Africans writing in their own languages using the Arabic script. So we know the esteem to which those scripts were held and the esteem to which the Arabic scripts were held. And the fact that the ruling class were the ones who were governed by the Arabic script. There's a book by recently released by a brother called Usman Khan. Khan. It's from Senegal, right? Yeah, it's from Senegal. And I haven't read the book, but from what I know of it, based upon presentations about the book, he puts forward an argument that suggests, that a couple things. One, there was a debate going on among scholars in Songhai about whether their indigenous religions were sufficient to transmit and translate the religion. I mentioned to you last week, didn't I?
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
I didn't get it.
There was a debate. There was a debate going on basically regarding the extent to which indigenous languages were sufficient or able to translate or relate the language, the religion of Islam. And some scholars were saying, well, no, Islam must be done in Arabic and others were saying, well, we have to try and use our own languages. Yeah, it would seem that the former won out the argument, right? Just what I'm saying. And so today, if you want the actual, you
Swahili people had their utendi, their whole corpus of writing in Kiswahili using the Arabic script.
I was gonna touch it. I was gonna touch the Swahili, but I didn't want to go there.
No, I can go further.
Right? Yeah.
The Wolof have a whole corpus of literature in Wolof using the Arabic script.
But I've said it exists.
Hausa.
But I've said it exists, Uncle.
It exists up to today.
It's called the Ajami scripts. We know this already.
But
I'm saying
what you're seeming to say
Yes.
is that these people were unable, like the English using the Roman script, to express themselves. What we are writing down, if you're going to write my address down now or read that Chancellor Williams' book, you are using the Roman script.
Of course.
But it doesn't make you any less conscious as a black person.
No, but I recognize the limitations that are inherent in the idea. I know, but that's the point I'm trying to make. So in this book,
but we can be conscious without tree.
No, we can be conscious, but the fact that, but in this book, Diop is making the argument that unless we elevate African languages to government,
we gotta get there.
scholarship, science and technology, we are
there.
not investing in the functionality of our languages.
But I contend that Arabic, stay. I contend. Do you wish me to contend? I shall contend. Arabic to me, and I made this point 100 times, so I'm getting tired now. Arabic has been in Africa since the year 640 AD. Arabic has developed indigenous forms from Egypt to Morocco.
But as has English.
Yes, like we speak in Trinidad or in Jamaica.
And in West Africa they speak Pidgin.
In Creole and so forth. So in my opinion, if you are going to develop African languages and say Arabic is not an African language, I think we're in a problematic area here. Because if you remove Arabic from the lexicon, the compendium of African languages, what you going to do with Amharic?
The point is...
No, wait a minute. I want you to answer that. What you going to do with Amharic? What you going to do with Tigray? What you going to do with... Well, the gas is dead. With Tigray, Tigrinya, and Amarinya, and Guraje, and Harari. These Semitic languages.
I'm not sure they're comparable. Especially because a lot of the linguistics. So a lot of the language families that we have that are designated for Africa today are actually not valid, like in terms of the Afro-Asiatic, the Niger-Congo, and these kinds of things.
Clever.
Right. What's it called? They're not valid language families. Yeah. So it's a different argument.
Don't pull out the argument, knock it down. I like this technique. Right? Don't pull out the argument, knock it down.
No, it's a different thing.
You're going too far back.
I am. Seriously, I am.
Come back to me.
I am.
Yes.
What I'm talking about though is the fact that we have.
He's skilled at dialectics.
We have a supremacy argument that we have to overcome. Remember, this conversation started because I'm defending. But even from the Afrocentric position, you know, this is one of the reasons why African-centered people love the Oromo. Yes, and these kinds of things because
they don't love Selassie. The Rastas don't love Selassie. The Rastas don't love Amharic. Do not the Rastas read Amharic?
Yes.
So are they not the head of the repatriation movement in London? Are they not there? Yeah, largely. The Rastas are largely involved. What about their use of Amharic?
The love of the Oromo and the love of Selassie are not.
Don't do that. Listen, I know how you argue now. I know your technique. Listen.
I'm not writing no technique.
We're talking about Afrocentricity and what is an African language. I said if you remove it, let me land. If you're removing Arabic, you're going to have to remove Amharic. But the Rastafari movement is based on Amharic.
But I disagree with you.
So you don't like Amharic?
No, hold on. Yes, sorry.
That for a collection of countries to progress together,
yes,
you need a lingua franca.
Yes.
So are you a proponent of a Pan-African?
I am. However,
and what would it be?
Hold on. One second. Before we get to that, what would it be?
Amharic?
Yeah. No.
Rastafari? I have not an answer. People, I haven't have an answer to the comparison of Arabic with Amharic and the Rastafari movement. No, I'm tying you to things now. You're gonna pass. I'll give you too much of a pass.
I've answered your question.
No, you said we're gonna reclassify African languages. That is not an answer.
No, it is.
That is not an answer.
Uncle, it is because your assertion only takes place within the context of the classification of African languages. So in order to go into that, we have to look at whether the classification is correct or not. I am not trying to go down that road. What I'm saying to you, right, I'm not.
There's the rub.
I'm not. No.
There's the rub.
No, I'm not. I'm
Beep,
not.
I bet you he wouldn't put Arabic in the African languages.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
Good. So what about Amharic?
I wouldn't.
What about Amharic?
I wouldn't. I think that.
What about Amharic?
I don't think that Arabic and Amharic are comparable.
Why not?
In relation to their Africanness.
Why not?
Because.
Why not?
Because of the context in which the Amharic and Arabic come about.
When did Amharic develop?
I can't remember, Uncle.
I'll give you the timeline. Amharic is the youngest of the Ethiopian Semitic languages.
But we're missing the point.
No, we're not.
We are.
Arabic was actually in Africa before Amharic was developed. Point of fact.
So?
The Arabic language was in Africa before the Amharic language developed.
Uncle, because there were Muslims in Africa before there was a people called Dogon. It doesn't make the Dogon any less indigenous.
And it doesn't make the Arabic language foreign
But
if
it
it's been there
does.
from 640.
No, but you're saying
this
today.
Is not, this is a language.
But you're saying today.
Yeah.
Right. But the point that we're probing here is not just the existence of the language. Look, any of us can learn any language. It's good to learn any amount of languages. But the fact of the matter is that there is a cultural supremacy that comes where a language is elevated above the languages that are indigenous to the people there.
Yes.
Whatever we're going to say about Arabic today, when it came in 600 and whatever.
Amharic is elevated.
When it came,
Amharic is elevated.
But I agree, but that's the point I'm trying to make. From an Afrocentric point of view, a lot of the as Chancellor Williams says in the book, for example, that supremacy in Ethiopia was created based upon the quote-unquote Semitic identity of some people, right? So their language, by virtue of its Semitism, was considered to be superior.
No,
right?
Wasn't that, you know?
It was partly, Uncle. You can't deny that.
No, they have decided that they were coming from Solomon and Sheba. So the Highlander Abyssinians decided they were superior.
That's the point I'm trying to make. Right, so listen. So whatever we're going to say about Arabic today, the people that were speaking Arabic, when
so are the Rastas wrong? Rastafari movement?
You're taking me somewhere else.
No, I'm telling you. I wanted to answer the question so the Rastas come in.
Yeah,
Rastas, listen to him.
Indeed.
He does not love the Amharic language.
The Rastafari original come from me.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
They're not going for you.
No, right. But sorry, let me get to the point, right? So the Arabic in 1060s, the 1060s. No, hear what I'm saying. In 1060s, for example, which is the era in which the Tekro people then with the Almoravids came into the Wagadu Empire, Ghana, Arabic would not have been considered a native religion. It would be considered a native language. It would be considered a foreign language.
Then.
What's it called? Right?
Then.
Right? Hold on. Right? They
Long time ago.
Right. But the idea that having languages that were viable across mass expanses of land and groups of people is not African, that we didn't have it before Arabic, is not true. Yeah, it's not true.
Which one?
But that's the point.
Which one?
I couldn't tell you exactly.
I need that. You
I can't tell you one.
Make
I can't tell you one.
without citations.
I can't tell you one.
You can't.
I can't tell you one.
Let's have it.
I can tell you one.
Let's
The
have it.
Soninke language. Under the
Soninke?
Yes, under Wagadu, Soninke was the lingua franca of the Ghana Empire.
Soninke.
Yes, the Soninke language. The Soninkes are those who founded the Wagadu Empire.
How large was the Ghana Empire compared to Mali and Songhai?
It wasn't as big. We know this already.
It was small.
But we also know
Ghana
again.
was more like a
But
kingdom.
we also know
Like a
that Mali. No, it was an empire.
We love Mali.
But this is what
Mali was Muslim.
you're actually making my point.
What's
Because
the point?
Mali comes about because of the eclipse of Ghana, and they develop as an empire. Listen, Uncle, 1 second. A lot of what Mali gets a head start because they develop based upon the foundations of what Ghana set.
That's quite true.
That is a fact.
That's quite
but
true.
if you speak today, when Mamadou Kouyate wrote the Epic of Sundiata, he didn't give credence to the Wagadu king
Let them have none.
and Tenkamenin and them, right? He drew Bilal clean, from Mecca.
The Yoruba and Oduduwa. The Yoruba and Oduduwa from Mecca.
My point is that but just by the act alone, the continuity.
Hold on.
One second. The continuity. Right?
I like to have a conversation.
Sorry.
It's surely between two individuals, Habibi. Let's
But that's
have
how
everyone.
it kind of started.
Look, what I was
Take
trying
your
to say
point,
is this.
Yes.
Look, you quoted one document. You know, there's other documents also.
Sorry, what document? Sorry, what are you talking about?
How about the Soninke language being the...
Epic of
Sundiata?
Yes.
There's other epics also.
Yeah, no. But they all do the same thing.
No, some don't actually. There's
Go on.
one called Tariq was Sudan.
We spoke about it earlier,
Yeah.
but it does do the same thing.
It does not. It talks about the empires.
Yes.
And the succeeding empires.
Yes. It mentions Ghana. I agree with you. It mentions
20
Ghana.
generations.
Yes. It mentions 3 of the kings of Ghana.
But it goes even
Did you
further.
mention my name?
And
No, unfortunately. But your king Ezekiel though.
There's
King
two
Ezekiel.
documents like that. There's another one.
Tariq al-Fatash and Tariq al-Sadan.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it talks about, and this is actually what Europeans
Yes.
use nowadays
Yes.
to prove that the Africans
Yes.
were not just purely influenced by the northern Muslims.
Yes.
That there was already agency.
Yes.
By
Yes.
Africans. So
yes.
you're aware of these documents.
Yes, I am.
But so I don't understand how you still make
Because if you look at the Tariq al-Fatash and the
have you
Tariq
looked at all of
al-Sadan,
it? Have you looked at both?
I haven't read all of them word for
Okay,
word.
I have.
Right? Okay.
Some-
That's good.
And that's
yeah?
why I'm saying
right?
that you're wrong when you use one document to
No,
talk about
but-
a millennia of history.
No, but the Tariq al-Fatash and the Tariq al-Sadan do not contradict the point that I've just made, because what they do is they continue a tradition of validating African civilization via adherence
Like the
to
Yoruba
Islam
with Oduduwa.
and
Like the
they
Yoruba
do
with Oduduwa.
because
You
that's
have misunderstood the-
Oduduwa from Mecca.
before you came one of the things that
You've misunderstood the
no
documents.
but
then.
no okay
Because I remember.
Just
Yes.
tell
I
the
was-
pagans
I was-
have done it.
I was reading. I was watching. There's a podcast.
Yes.
You know, a BBC podcast.
Yes.
You know, with Mervyn Bragg.
Yes.
And then they were talking about Timbuktu.
Yes.
And there was 2 academics.
Oh, I remember that.
And they were saying in that, and
Yes.
they used those 2, and
Yes.
they said, look, we can see in this document
Yes.
that the Africans
Yes.
were using these documents
Yes.
to establish that there was African
remember that,
history
yeah.
Yes.
prior to
No, that
the
existed.
coming of Islam.
That
Jenny.
existed. That
Jenny-
existed. No,
Jenny was
I'm not.
much
I'm not.
older than
I'm not.
Timbuktu.
I'm not denying the fact that there is, like,
But
for example,
you're
yes.
saying that these documents are used to claim Islam as
Yes,
as,
I am saying that.
But
But
see,
based
then
upon
you
that.
misunderstood the
all right,
document.
no, hold on,
He's
hold on.
saying that's only
No,
one
no, hold on.
tradition.
All right,
Like the Yoruba have Ile-Ife, that's one tradition, they are
No,
indigenous,
but-
and the Yoruba have another tradition that came from Mecca.
But I've affirmed.
still,
that,
I'm
I've
not
affirmed-
Muslims, and they are
but
doing
I,
it.
But I have affirmed that there are.
Big empires do that.
But I have affirmed that there are other traditions. When I spoke about the Ejami scripts,
Big empires do this.
I'm affirming that there are other
Big
traditions.
empires do
Yes,
this.
uncle, but this is the point I'm trying to make. I'm saying that where does the validation come from, and to what extent?
Shut
yeah?
the Yoruba, where's the validation? Big empire, Oyo was a
Let
big
me ask
empire.
you a question, let me ask you a
It was
question.
trading with the
Let
West.
me ask you a question.
I think
One second, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, right?
With the
That
North.
we know that in Mali and Songhai, there were
Sweeterlands,
there were
'cause
mass
they're Muslim.
there were mass groups, yeah, of people that were not Muslims in those
That is going to
empires.
be pure
Yes,
hatred
Yeah.
for shit
because
like
we
that.
love them.
How are they
Because we didn't force
How
them.
are
We
they-
didn't force them.
In the documents that you're talking about,
loved everyone.
does it refer to these non-Muslims in the empire?
What do you mean?
At all, in any way, shape or form?
I
Does the
know-
Tariq al-Fatash
Yes,
and the Tariq
Ibn
al-Sadan?
Battuta refers
Right.
to them.
But
It speaks about
sorry,
in
uncle.
the empire. You asked the question.
Battuta didn't write the Tariq al-Fatash or Tariq al-Sadan.
No, but we tell you, he
Right.
was
We don't know
there.
who wrote-
He
we don't
saw
really know
the
who
court
wrote
of Mansa Suleiman.
Yes.
He went there and he saw women dressed in the
Yes, and
traditional
he was shocked
way.
at how-
Yes.
yeah.
So why have you
No,
mischaracterized
I'm not
it?
mischaracterizing. No. Brother Dawuud was speaking about the African. Ibn Battuta was not indigenous to
but he saw-
Mali.
he saw stuff.
He saw, but what I asked was
So I'm saying,
in
we
the
are-
text.
Are
Uncle,
Muslims
hear what I'm
allowed
saying?
coexistence?
No,
There was
they are, yes.
coexistence.
Nothing wrong. No, listen. Big up.
There was coexistence.
Ibn Battuta lived the life that I'd love to live. Yeah, I'm not denying.
that
Right?
man.
I'm not,
I
I know you are.
I
I'm not
am
gonna
Caribbean
lie. I'm not gonna
Battuta.
lie. I'm not gonna lie. Indeed.
Caribbean
Right,
Battuta.
Indeed. What I'm asking is, the documents that we're talking about that come from West Africa, yes, in these empires, do they reference and speak about the peoples among them who are not Muslim?
But
For example,
Ibn Battuta
yes.
did this.
For example, in that document,
Yes.
the Tariq al-Fatash,
Yes.
for example, there's a chronology.
Yes.
So the author is trying to establish
Yes.
a chronology
Yes.
of the empires.
Yes.
And I'm saying to you, from
Yes.
the 9th century onwards,
Yes.
they believe
Yes.
that there was 20 generations
I
prior
know.
to that
I know.
of kingdoms.
I
So-
know. And in that context, they mentioned
But
3
the-
Ghana kings. I know that. I'm not disputing that.
No, I'm
Yes.
saying that. I'm saying what the point I'm trying to make is here you can clearly see that the author of that document is trying to tell you, look, there was something before us that was great also.
Yes, right. That's
So
fine.
there's-
That's fine. What I'm
there's
asking
so-
though is that because he's in an empire, this is Songhai now, whereby some say as much as half the empire was traditionalists. Do they reference the traditionalists in the
But that
document?
redounds to the credit of Islam that half
they
the
are,
empire
because
was not
20
Muslim. Does it not redound?
How?
Coexistence.
Hold on, listen to the argument you're making.
Coexistence.
Okay, but listen to the argument you're making.
Coexistence.
Listen to the argument you're making.
Convivencia.
Islam comes as a
Peaceful
religion,
coexistence. Yes.
and it's to the credit of Islam
That half
of us are
yes,
still.
an entire.
This is a weird argument, Uncle.
50%.
This is a very strange argument.
50%.
No, but this is a very strange argument.
It is not strange.
It's to the credit of the traditionalists that there were so many Muslims in the
Cultural
empire.
resilience.
That's the
Cultural
thing.
resilience.
That's the thing.
So then Africans are strong
But
and
I'm
Muslims are
asking
strong.
but I'm asking
so
the question.
I'm African Muslim,
But
I'm
I'm
doubly
asking the
strong.
question.
You see
In
what
the
I'm saying?
documents,
I got you.
in the documents,
I like when I got him.
where
Guys, I'll bring it
how,
next week. I will
how,
bring it next week.
cool.
Because
I'm saying, I'm going to go as far as to say,
That's
because
a nice end to the conversation.
because you will ask me, what were the names of the traditions? And I'm saying to you, we can name some. So we know that the Soninka people were there. We know that they had a tradition. Yeah? We
All
know
the
that.
Soninke today are Muslims.
Hold on, exactly, right? Exactly.
Peacefully.
Right, but then
The
there are
Soninka
those.
today
But
are
then there are
Muslims.
those who we know were there.
Shall I
but they-
call
but
some
they may-
names?
One second.
The Tunkaras,
But they
the
may.
Silas,
But they may
the
go by.
Koitas,
But they may go by.
the
Uncle.
Tunkaras,
They-
the Silas, the
also, what
Koitas,
do you
all
expect?
Soninke, all you're blocking the camera, all Soninke, and they are all Muslim.
Also, what do you expect?
Why does he interrupt?
Also, yeah, I have to because otherwise I'm not going to talk.
Go ahead, Dawuud.
Also, in terms of empire building, right?
Yes.
What do you expect of empires to be? Like charity
No,
organizations?
but the point is that you see, this is what I don't. This is one of the problems that I have.
Yeah.
On the one hand, we're talking about a superior religion that comes in the name of God and so on and so forth. But when it comes to empire building, we just deal with humanity, right? Just what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying. So Allah doesn't factor into empire building. It just so happens that the empire was built in the name of Allah, right? Just what I'm saying. So I'm saying
have to ask me
it's a fun.
first.
No, but I'm saying that to me that
don't make that argument,
and
by
what I'm
the
saying
way.
is, but
I don't
I
do
haven't done this in the two conversations that we've had now. I haven't gone into that reasoning, but I do have difficulty with that thing, right?
There are people who do that.
But
I
I'm
agree.
saying that.
I
But
agree.
I'm saying that when it comes to a lot of the, because you're one thing that I agree with Uncle Danjuma on, in terms of us from our vantage point today, writing and having the written word for history does have a particular kind of significance.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is the power of this book. Because, right? It's because, because for the first time, from a black historian, somebody took the time to go among indigenous Africans and document the oral history,
You went to
right?
Sudan
Right?
and
It was over 20 countries, sat down with how many different
Hey, I've been
translators,
the same thing,
right?
okay?
And the kind of things there. People weren't doing that kind of. So I cannot discard this book. I'm sorry, because the mere example of
Old
it alone,
Testament.
right? And we give thanks for the law of Moses, right? What's it called? We give thanks for
Torah.
it, right? We give
Oh,
thanks.
don't let him hear
Right?
that.
I know. All right, I know. Right? What's it called? Where was I? Where was I?
Listening
Yeah.
to you
Yes.
over the years as well.
Yes.
I feel like
Months, bro. Months. Yeah.
No,
No, you've been there, yeah, bro.
I've been there for over a year. Yeah. Okay. Over a year. Yeah.
that it comes like you have a very purist first of all.
I am,
You're
yes,
purist.
yes.
But then secondly, also that could be your blind spot. Your understanding of history is very idealistic.
Yeah, I agree.
And but
To-
that's
no,
but that,
to-
but that's,
to a
that's-
degree,
but
to a
that-
degree.
But that will hinder you.
Yeah, mine isn't.
But
I,
that-
I deal with what is.
No.
But that
No.
hinders you
What I
sometimes
want.
from seeing things the way.
My view of history is not ideal to the point of, because your uncle is talking about dealing with what is, and I don't just do with what is. I analyze what is and how it came to be and how it came about. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right. So I don't, for example, totally disregard Mali and Songhai as empires and their African achievements.
Otherwise there'll be a black hole,
Right. Exactly.
historical black
Exactly.
hole.
Because of the fact that they were Muslim. What I do
Yeah,
challenge,
Muslim.
what I do
Great.
challenge is the historic
What?
is the historic tendency to describe the civilization as Muslim as though they were not African. And
No,
and,
they're
and hold on,
both.
hold on.
They're
I would agree to no.
Like me,
no,
I'm African
I would
and
agree to
Muslim.
some degree.
So am
but,
I only one
but
thing?
also no. But,
Jack,
but
am I
I
only
agree.
a Muslim?
I agree. But uncle, I sat in Robin Walker's Black History class one day and learned that Mali and Songhai were not completely Muslim.
No,
right?
we know
There
this.
were
We
many
know
traditionalists in the. But I'm saying that is
Even
not
in
that
Persia
is not in
today,
history.
even in
right?
Persia
Hold on.
today,
Yes.
Zoroastrians.
But that is not. But my point is that.
Yazidis in Iraq.
But my point is that
But Shaka, you're being
that is
unfair.
not.
Western history.
That
You're
is
being
not.
unfair.
No, I'm not. That I'm
I'm
providing fairness to the fact that when it comes to African culture and civilization, the presumption, even for Swahili states, that when Islam came is when
Mashallah.
civilization came, and they told us the same thing to do with Christianity,
But
right?
see,
So I'm
What
saying,
happened before the Swahili states?
But
I want to know about
The
the
Swahili
the Wahadimu, the Watumbatu, and the
there were
Washirazi.
Swahili city-states.
Tell me about them.
From the 1st century AD. The Swahili people
Yes.
were creating boats that were able to trade with Asia from before there was even an Islam. But Swahili, the city-states, are considered a creation of Persians sometimes and Arabs at other times. And I'm saying that the idea
That could be true. That could
right?
be true.
That it happens all the time. So I'm saying now, from an Afrocentric point of view, because what we were challenging, the brothers were saying that these Afrocentrists, they go on at Islam and
Yes, they do.
right? But the fact of the matter is,
Haters.
but the point is, all of that exists in a context
I
of the fact
understand.
that
Yeah, I know.
fact that when it comes to
They're gonna have so
Islam,
many haters after this.
But it's true.
Islam
We really are-
characterizes
we
right
really true.
African tradition and culture
It's
in a
true.
particular way, assumes superiority, and the history from that time until this time has been told in that regard. The fact of the matter is that Dawuud, you will know that when it comes to traditionalists in Africa today, that supremacy still exists. It still exists today. It's not a past thing.
As in terms of religious supremacy,
Yes,
there.
it
It's
exists
been there, and it's
today,
done there.
right?
Yeah.
So when the Afrocentrist comes and says, "Here I know, we are born up this religious supremacy business. When I deal with it, you see the religion there, they're disrespectful.
Yes.
They don't regard our thing, and it's a fact.
All that's true.
Yeah, it's a
All-
fact.
all of
And
that
I'm
is
saying,
true.
and I'm saying that.
That's what-
But
that's
and-
We've never negated that when
No,
it comes to
but
the spiritual
that's
practice, though.
incontestable.
I don't think any.
I don't like it. When I see it,
Yeah.
I
I have to
really
agree.
dislike it. And let me tell you something. I was in a movement. I hate to talk about myself like this. I was in a movement in Trinidad called NJAC. And then there was the AAA, African Advancement Association. I was also a member of Jamaat al-Muslimin. The two of them used to hate me. When I go among the Afrocentrists, they'll say, "Why are you with those Arab imperialists?" When I go, so this conversation I've had been,
But that's
since
the
let
point.
me learn.
Yes.
Since I was 15, I've been having this conversation.
Right.
I've seen two great elders of mine, Malam Tayo and Makandal Daga in Trinidad, debate this. One of them is an Afrocentrist, the other one was a Muslim, a Yoruba man. Right? This Yoruba man, however, has marks like this. Watch. Like that.
Yes.
And he's a Muslim.
And that's haram,
You see?
isn't
No, well, it isn't that actually haram.
wait.
It's haram in the Torah. In the Torah, it's haram. You can't make cuttings in the Torah. But not in Islam, there's no firm ruling on that one. But anyhow,
I think it's
no, there's no, I don't believe.
Let me
I
keep
want,
quiet.
listen, I feel I want to take some right now. Trust me. I would like to do it. Really, I want to make some. Seriously. Seriously. Because,
the point
and you know, let me just finish this. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm sorry about that.
I've said, man,
we
that
have
look
to
like
factor in.
they had a fight with the tiger.
No,
man.
what I'm trying to say is this: that I've been exposed to these, and I used to attend the Orisha ceremonies.
Yes.
I have told you this many times.
Yes.
And why I agree with him, I will go to an Orisha ceremony, and they know I will not participate. They see me wearing white. They say, "Okay, Omo Batala." These are the children of Obatala.
Yeah, told me this last time.
These are the ones, the Friday is their holiday, they abstain from spirits, and they stand apart from the proceedings. They observe. And that is how they treated
But, Uncle,
Muslims.
and-
We did not treat them like that.
And that's one reason why Islam was able to spread, because the African traditionalist dominant
should-
characteristic
but we should have-
was
inclusion.
accommodationist.
Exclusion and
Right. Now I'm saying that
accommodation.
we have to factor in,
That
if
is true.
Islam has been in Africa since the 640s, what has been the accumulative impact of centuries of cultural denigration, systematically speaking?
I
but
don't
that's the
think
point
that-
I-
We have to
I
have
don't
to
think-
factor that in.
No, I don't think it was only denigration.
You cannot
A
separate
lot of Islam
African
spread-
spirituality from African culture. It's impossible. You can't do it in the same way that you can do it with other religions. Yeah?
Yes, but
the
is
fact
that-
of the matter
you see,
is,
we're going in circles.
Yeah.
If as Sheikh Anta Diop says, some aspects of African cultures, if some aspects of some African cultures were in a state of decline, then you have to understand why Islam would have.
But you have to- then you have to read
Let me
destruction of black
No,
civilization
get my
to
eyes.
understand
No,
why.
Let me learn. Here's like, when the Spanish came, we can accuse them of having destroyed the Inca civilization of Cusco and the Aztec Empire of Montezuma.
They did.
But we cannot accuse them of destroying the Mayan Empire of Yucatan because it was already in decline by the time the Spanish arrived.
No, Uncle.
Yes, the Spanish did not destroy
all right, no,
the
I take your
Mayans.
point. I take your point.
Now, what I'm trying to say is this. I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot. Let us have the nuance. Let us have the nuance. When you say
And if you
things
want
as-
the nuance, you have to read the
God,
destruction of black
oh my
civilization.
God, oh my
No,
God,
no,
oh
because
my God.
no, I'm not lying. That is the argument that he makes. We cannot just reduce
Have you got any
everything.
up-tracks? You got any
right?
up-tracks,
Right?
Mahai?
No, but he says
any
this.
vices?
He says it
Oh
in
my
the book.
God.
I'm telling you, he says it in the book here that we cannot, if I can find it, we cannot just reduce all of the negative things that happened in black civilization to the coming of foreigners. He says this in so many words that by our own misdeeds, we contributed to our own
Islam
decline.
filled the vacuum.
Right, but
Islam
also,
filled the vacuum.
But also,
you can't be upset
but
about
also,
that.
But also, there's a difference between.
Are you upset about that?
No. Yes, I am. But the
But if
difference-
it's a vacuum,
but
it's
hold
a
on.
vacuum.
No, but the extent to which it was a vacuum, is questionable. You see, what's his name? Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi. He's on record of making this statement that Africa is a cultural vacuum. This is Muammar Gaddafi's statement.
He's not an intellectual.
Ready to be filled.
He's not an intellectual.
But my point is that mentality didn't begin with Gaddafi. When you come with a religion, that says it is has the word of God, that it is superior, you don't consider, and this is documented in history, that because this is why Africans are documented as not having civilization and culture, partly because the people that came with religions didn't regard what we had as civilization.
Shaka, can I say
Right?
something?
The best
And-
only civilization, Africa,
Yes.
history of Africa, Ethiopia
Yes,
is known to have a civilization.
of course. Now Valley.
Yeah, for the ignorant ones who don't study history, but for the one who that study history, no,
Yemen.
there's
Gaddafi
more.
was not
All
an
the way to Yemen.
intellectual.
So Islamically, this is the first place that the Muslims went to for refuge.
Yes, but this is the point I'm trying to make.
I
I'm saying
don't like
that.
this discussion. You know why? Because it's nonsense. For those ones who look. No, not you. I'm saying that.
Nah, that was cutting it out. Okay, no, it's not. They're not the only places in Africa that has civilization.
No,
That's not-
that's for people. That's for people who don't study history.
Right.
For the ones who read history books,
Yes.
you will know that there was other empires.
Yes,
and,
but I'm saying
culture
that
elsewhere.
it's the Afrocentrists that
That
are
was
challenging
no
the thing,
nonsense
though.
these days, you
Yeah,
know.
go on. I know. Ever since Bob, innit? Bob unleashed the thing.
Hey, listen. You know what I'm trying to say? You know what? Because I'm trying to analyze you. Because I feel like you're brilliant. You're a brilliant man. You're very
I'm
sharp.
humbled.
But I want to just point you to certain things, maybe perhaps
Yes, you're
to
trying to-
make you more flexible, more tolerant.
You're giving me
maybe.
dawa at the moment.
Look,
Go.
I think what we're doing sometimes also is that
Yes.
we're thinking of history,
Yes.
especially in Africa,
Yes.
on a backdrop of slavery and
Yes.
colonialism.
Yes.
For example, let me show you where you did that. You know when we were talking about the idea that the West African empires, there's this idea that Islam came to
Yes.
improve people's lives.
Yes.
This is a very colonial troop that was devised in the 19th century because the archaeologists who went to West Africa and started to realize, freaking hell, there was empires here. They would say like, no, hold on, these can't be Africans.
Yes.
It was the Moroccans.
Yes.
So that troop
yes.
was developed by Europeans. So sometimes what happens is, I think we would have had a different conversation if we were in the 16th century. You probably would have still have the same opinions,
Yeah.
but I think the conversation would have been slightly
It's possible,
different.
and I'm definitely speaking with the benefit of knowledge and
Yeah.
history since
The
the 16th
hindsight
century.
of- yeah.
Right, but I'm saying that it's
Privilege of
more to the
hindsight.
point is that the Afrocentric tradition and African historians, more broadly speaking, or
Yeah.
in all disciplines, whether it's anthropology and them kind of things, there are challenging a lot of the weight of colonial history,
Yeah.
not just by Europeans, however. You see what I'm saying? Because
Okay.
because the Arabs' characterization and the characterization of Muslims, Africans who are Muslims, is not too dissimilar because it's in the religion. Like there's language in the religious text to describe people who are not you. Yeah, and so the fact of the matter
But
is
that was for Arabs.
Yeah, no,
All the pagan
yeah,
Arabs.
but I'm saying, but words like pagan and polytheist, like if you was to ask, a traditionalist, oh, by the way, are you a polytheist? They're not gonna. There's no word for it in their language. Yeah, they don't know what is many gods and what is one god. You understand what I'm saying?
And to
Like,
be honest,
it doesn't exist, right? So this is a psychology.
No, you have a point as well in the characterization in South Africa of the word kafir. It's become synonymous with the black indigenous.
I didn't go into that because I didn't want to go into East Africa, but it's a good example. Yeah, Brother Eesa raised the point in terms of the word kafir. Yeah,
Wash your
and
hands,
how, and how
people.
indeed,
Keep your hands
indeed,
clean.
indeed,
Use the
indeed.
bacterial
No
wash.
corona, no
Yeah.
corona.
Yes.
Yeah, pray to the ancestors.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, and call on the Orisha.
If you pray to the ancestors, you'll be
You
joining
know what I'm saying?
them.
Take your Oshun bar. we all need to join the ancestors at some point, brothers and sisters. Don't be afraid of joining the ancestors. It's all a part of life. You know what I'm saying? But Ashun carries the blessing, innit? What's it called? What's it called? Where was he? Yeah, Eesa raised a point because I wasn't trying to go into East Africa, which we should at some point. But in terms of the word,
Horn, which part? The Horn of Africa?
no, just. Yeah,
Mozambique?
but the Swahili states in general,
Okay.
right? But he raised a point in terms of the word kafir, yeah, and how that term becomes a racial slur
in South Africa.
But it travels to South Africa based upon the interactions of Arabs with Africans. Huh?
I believe it was the Asians.
Yeah, no, but the Arabs were before them. The word would have been introduced by the Arabs.
The
No,
Arabs never got as far south as where you're talking
no.
about.
I'm saying that the terminology itself
Yeah, it's coming
would have
from
been
Arabic, but
into
the
Swahili.
Asian Muslims.
Yes, no, I know. But I'm saying that as far as I'm aware, the term itself is adopted by the Europeans based upon their interactions with, because it was in the Swahili, it was among the Swahili people there, right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it becomes now a racial slur, but
Shall I tell you a strange thing
Even
about
though it
Trinidad?
originated as a religious
In
term.
Trinidad,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
In,
But
Hindus in Trinidad use it to mean nigger. Kafir.
but that's what
In
it means.
Trinidad.
That's what it means in South
In
Africa.
Trinidad,
Yes.
it's a Hindi word.
Yes, okay,
Hindus use it
Right.
to call black
Right,
people
nigger.
kafir.
But
You're a
the
nigger.
point
Means
is
nigger.
that the original religious meaning
But Hindus
was
use it.
I know. But originally it meant them people that don't worship Allah. That's
Yes,
what it meant.
yeah. Coverers of the truth.
So the people,
Yeah.
the black people, the traditions of those people became synonymous with kafir, so they were called kafir. And it became now something that could be used just to relate to black people at all, regardless of what religion you are. This is the point. This is
in South Africa.
we have to, and this is what Africa. So I'm saying now, if brothers, because I saw Hassan and Yabrile, yeah,
Okay.
a fierce anti-Afrocentric, right?
No, actually, he's an Afrocentric.
I'm being facetious.
Yeah, he's an
Right, what's it called?
Afrocentric.
But he's
a Muslim too.
But he made the point that you've been making in terms of agency, yeah.
Okay.
And the Afrocentrists should stop taking away the agency from Africans who are Muslim, yeah. And there's an extent to which I agree with him. But the fact of the matter is, if he wants that kind of thing, then Africans who are Muslim, yeah, need. If you want that, Africans who are Muslims need to challenge the characterizations that are in.
I do.
But no.
Do I not?
But yes.
Joking.
Yes,
Joking. Put the joking
yes,
aside.
Yes, no, yes,
do I not?
Yes. But I'm saying that. But
I
I'm saying,
fell out with Muslims. You know the Muslims, they hardly get. They don't vibe with me.
Uncle,
much.
I would agree with you. But I'm saying that this characterization we're talking about is within Islamic scholarship.
Okay, let me give
right?
you.
And them
Let
kind
me
of
say
things,
this
those
quickly.
characterizations.
Yeah, you guys have been speaking. Let me say this.
What last sentence? And what is the characterization within Islamic scholarship around what Afrocentrists are defending doesn't what Afrocentrists are saying in reaction about Islam and Muslims does not compare. There is no comparison to be made between Africans who are Afrocentrists.
I'll tell you what I don't like. They could pick up things from the Orientalists and the Christians who come here, nasty things about Aisha and the Prophet, and use those things. And I believe that is doing their argument no service. Okay, let me.
And you notice I don't do those things.
I'm not done. You don't. That's why I'm still here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm still here.
No, to be
now let me just say
go
this.
on.
Sheikh Hassan and Yabwile.
Yeah.
Let me give you a little bio about the brother.
Yes.
Sheikh Hassan.
He's the first Afrocentric.
Let me tell you about him. No, we grew up.
No, I was being facetious. I have some knowledge of who he is.
For the record,
Yes.
we grew up together in Trinidad.
Okay.
I know him from
Oh,
Jamaat.
so it's a brethren.
I know. Listen, for the record,
Yeah.
we grew up together in Jamaat. We met at Jamaat al-Muslimin. He would be one of the people who would tell me, watch that kafir, them. But later on,
I'm not surprised.
No, wait a minute. Later on, he was one of the people, like myself, responsible for getting the Emancipation Day put on. The first country that laid it on was Trinidad.
Yes.
And in there, that Emancipation Day parade, he was responsible for establishing the Mandingo March. The Mandingo were a group of Muslims in Trinidad who had set up their own alternative society. So they have their own, put on the long, like kaftan, kind of African clothes, and they do their. So when the other Yoruba, the others are doing their parade.
I'd have been about the Shango there,
Yes,
you know, Shango.
He knows the Orisha music as well.
yes,
But he was. So let me explain to you how Afrocentrist the brother really is.
Yes.
Right, I'm going to defend him a little bit. He's a scholar, he's a jurisconsult, a scholar of Islam, but he has a deep knowledge of African culture.
Yes.
And he was partly responsible for the inauguration of the Emancipation Day Parade and the Mandingo element in it.
Big up Sheikh Hassan.
I gotta give him props for that, because sometimes I see he comes on fighting a rearguard action on my behalf, and I like to thank him for that, because I got no friends and I got no enemies. I always say that. But every now and then I see one person might come on and say, brother Danjuma got a point.
There are some people that are more vociferous than him.
You see?
in their anti-Afrocentricity.
No, but they're not supporting me. They're supporting Islam.
I agree.
He
I agree.
understands what I'm trying to do.
I agree. No,
he understands what I'm trying to do.
Honestly, I was being facetious because I know he's not the worst among them.
No, he understands. The others don't. They just think, well, okay, anything supporting Islam is a good thing.
I agree.
Right?
But my only point, Uncle, is that the people that are making those arguments have to understand, and I'm agreeing with some of what you lot are saying. Even though I think there are questions to be asked about Aisha, because I'm not knowledgeable on the subject, so I don't go and I don't think it's intelligent just to use it as a beating stick, right? It's something to explore definitely, and a conversation to have. But it's not a point scoring thing for me in an argument. You know what I'm saying, right? But I'm saying that the brothers and sisters who make those points have to contend with the fact that when you're talking to an Afrocentric who is defending Afrocentricity, they're doing so in the face of thousands of years, of anti-African material, rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? So to act as though that doesn't exist and it's always taking place in a vacuum because people hate Islam is nonsense.
No, but what you have to understand is that anti-African rhetoric comes against us as black African Muslims as well.
Boy.
So we
fight
get
it both sides.
We fight it
we get
with the
both
same amount
sides.
of bar devoid of the aspect of the worship of ancestors and the spiritual system. Everything else we're fighting. This notion that we're backward, we don't have, we're not given to learning, all of that stuff. We all fight that.
But you know, I'd agree with you to some degree. But what I have found is that Africans who are Muslim who challenge that do so, and I don't necessarily wrong them for it, but understand it from my perspective, do so by teaching of the history of Islam in Africa. You know what I'm saying?
Great,
right? So I'm saying, for your Muslim
Wonderful
brothers and sisters,
there.
What validates Africa is the fact that we had Islam.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Resistance.
Hear me. But for the Afrocentric,
Bahia Jihad, 1835.
but for the Afrocentric, validating Africa is done whether there's Islam or not. Islam or no Islam, we're going to validate Africa. And we're going to validate Africa against
white supremacy
and Arab supremacy, and Muslim supremacy, and Christian supremacy, and American supremacy.
Do we really confront white supremacy?
That's why I almost checked Dawuud, because I understood from Dawuud that he was saying that with the coming of the Arabic script,
it opened people's mind.
Right. So my thing is, that's not what he meant.
Right.
But if anyone said that to me, that the Africans didn't have open minds until that point,
Yeah.
I'd pull them up.
But
straight away.
But I'm not. But again, I know that's not what he meant. But that is the psychology that comes with a lot of it. One of the things that even without a writing script, you see the Dogon, the Dogon. All right, in the evolution of European civilization, sciences evolve out of the discipline of natural philosophy, whereby people were sitting down and contemplating, observing nature and coming up with hypotheses as to why things are the way they are, the nature of creation and so on and so forth. And out of that you get the different sciences, biology and, you know what I'm saying, them kind of things there, whereby people are able to do more scientific research. The Dogon people of Mali, a group of people that resisted Islam and migrated out of the Songhai Empire because they resisted Islam and couldn't find a place to stay. I know Uncle Danjuma challenges this viewpoint.
I didn't challenge it.
But
I'm saying, have you got the facts?
No, but
there's a difference between challenging it and saying, we are supposing this. We do not know this.
All right, let me get right. Their oral history tells this story. And it's not one migration. It's various different migrations over a couple of hundred years. But their language, the Dogon language, is a mixture of the Mande language, which the Mande people that were one of the dominant groups in Mali and Songhai, the Mande people, and the Gula language, So their language is derived from these two languages and a few other languages based upon their travels, So we know that they were part of, and their oral history says that they're actually descendants of the Keita family, which were the ruling elite, in the Songhai Empire, Sorry, in the Mali Empire, Now, they have a philosophical tradition that marvels Western Europe today because of how complex it is. And two, how close a lot of their philosophy is to modern scientific understandings of things like atoms. Yeah? You know what I'm saying? Them kind of things there. Things like the Big Bang. Yeah? Just what I'm saying. So it's evident that African Uncle Bishop, I'm gonna repeat it for your sake. I'm gonna repeat it for your sake. Right? I'm gonna repeat it just for your sake, Uncle. That's how special you are to me. Alright? What's it called? I was saying that the Dogon, yeah,
Syrus Tabi?
right, yes, right, yeah, all that kind of stuff. They developed, yeah, a philosophical tradition and scientific achievement that marvels Europe today without a writing script. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right?
I'm a strong believer in oral tradition.
Right, this is what I'm saying, right? Not only did they, you mentioned Sirius, I was going to go into it, right?
Why do you imply that I put it down?
I didn't say you.
I merely say
No,
that in a collision with literacy, it will.
Westerners, not you.
Right, but no,
You know.
right?
An oral tradition
They-
is the tangibility of the written.
Yeah, no,
tradition.
we're not denying that. We're not denying that. All I'm saying is that without writing, Africans were able to chart stars, yeah, and develop speculative theories about scientific ideas, yeah, that nobody in civilization ever had at that point. And to the point where when they discovered it, they tried to suggest that some European got there. Sorry, so we're talking about the Dogon come around in like the 1200s, yeah. Under the Songhai Empire and into the kind of the Songhai Empire, and in that the 1600s, the 1700s, 1800s.
Look at this lunacy, bro.
Yeah, they existed.
You will find this also, by the way. I don't know if you knew, but that's Congolese cosmology also.
This is what I'm trying to say, right? So I'm saying that. So without writing systems, Africans were doing marvelous and magnificent things, right? And we had a writing system, the first in the world, from in the Nile Valley, right? So I'm saying that the point is that if Dogon culture was able to accommodate such levels of scientific thinking without Islam,
But they're an exception.
right? Without Islam and without literacy,
They're an exception.
yes and no.
The Dogon are
Yes
an
and yes and no. Yes and
Because
no.
how do you disseminate it if you don't have a lingua franca?
No.
If you don't have a
It's an
written.
exceptional case.
Hold on. Sorry, can I say on the point of
Fuse it into the.
But on the point of lingua franca, Africans had lingua franca before Islam. The reason why
But can
stop shouting, man. The language of the Dogon is called Dogoso. Yes, Dogon word. Yeah. And they have even different languages because they got a language called Sigiso, which is like their spiritual language. You know what I'm saying, right? So right, yeah, right. So I'm saying that the fact is the reason why none of those languages became lingua francas is because Arabic was a lingua franca. Just what I'm saying. Like there was a lingua franca, so the dominant group was those who spoke Arabic as a lingua franca.
But why was that able to take root where those existing languages?
So we haven't gone into we went into some of that last week. One was because of invasion and the other was trade. Yeah. So basically the Arabs in North Africa were the power base and they controlled a lot of the trade routes. So trading with them required you to speak Arabic.
well, some Berbers also had.
Yes, but the Arabs were conquering the Berbers, right? That's what I'm saying. And so the Berbers, some were resisting, and at various different times. I'm saying so Arabic became the superpower language. That's what it was. Before Arabic was a lingua franca, there were and in fact, in this book, Diop makes the point that the idea that Africa never had a lingua franca before Arabic and European languages came is nonsense. Yeah, but we've forgotten that because of the domination. You know what I'm saying, right?
Can I say something to that? And this is something that hopefully, if I have,
Bro, let's tie this up.
Yeah,
soon,
Ty, I
bro.
know.
If
I need so much.
I know. Yes,
if I do
yeah.
become, if I have the ability to have resources.
Yes.
This is one thing that I was sharing with
Excuse me.
Chef Danjuma.
For the sake of the camera, that a lot of noise you're hearing has nothing to do with us. It's that all that noise is a single madman to our left.
And his apprentice.
So do forgive us.
There's a couple, to be honest. There's
I'm
one
not
of
his
those.
He
apprentice.
is doing it all by himself. That Hebrew man. So let's continue. Yeah.
Thank you. So that's one thing that I've shown Sheikh Danjuma on Facebook. And recently, well, not recently, in 2005, and this was inspired, the research that I did there, or that Google typed, was inspired by the new developments that are taking place in Mesoamerica. They have now technology where in the 20th century they used to believe that the Aztecs and the Mayans were not as extensive in civilization as they believed before. They thought that there's few city-states, and they believed that their culture wasn't as sophisticated. What has taken place now, due to the enhancements of technology, they have this technology, it's called laser bouncing. So they send the laser onto the floor, and then they can detect the structures.
Right.
What happened was they've discovered thousands upon thousands of cities what was that? Amazonia. Thousands of cities. So this was a paradigm shift in the understanding on how they used to view Mesoamerica. I did the same thing. I just went on Google and I found this obscure article on National Geographic. And this was one man who did this. He flew over Congo, parts of Congo. Obviously, the jungle is way too big. And he found images, and there's images on the article. I'll send it to you. He found images of irrigation systems in the jungle. So the point I'm trying to say is, sometimes, and I've said this to Sheikh before, what is with the problem that we are facing here is that Africa has not been done extensive work, archaeological work, to even substantiate. So when we say there aren't any scripts discovered
that we
yet,
know about,
that's my position, based on these things that I've just told you. And for example, DNA, right? DNA is one example. Stephen Reich says that when you compare the DNA composites that they've discovered, they have 2% of Africa only in their database. And he says there has to be more done in Africa. And that extends to all other sciences also.
Definite. Dawuud, you'll be glad to know that in the great and illustrious book, The Structure of Black Civilization, Dr. Chancellor Williams actually makes the point that you're making. He never puts forward the argument that his work is a comprehensive thing. He says more work needs to be done in all of these various disciplines to uncover a lot more history. And if he had more time in life and more eyesight, because the book was published in a bit of a rush because he was losing his eyesight, right? You know what I'm saying? So there are some errors in the book, right? So there are some errors in the book, even down to the typing, that mistakes were made because they were trying to rush to get it out. Which is why I had to bring the book today, because I felt Uncle Danjuma was most unfair, and I had to defend the ancestors.
I'll confirm you later.
Mostly,
What's it called?
The Destruction of Black Civilization.
Your eyes, man.
Right?
Be careful.
But seriously, no, and I'd encourage, but I'd encourage that everybody to read the book, but then cross-reference it to other sources to see how accurate he actually was. Right? Just what I'm saying. Obviously, he wrote the book was published in the 70s.
I read that when I was 17, 18.
Right? If it hadn't been superseded, there'd be a problem. But I'm saying, like for example, like When We Ruled, by Robin Walker. Oh, Uncle, come on now. Sorry, Uncle is scoffing, but the fact is,
I despair. I really do.
But the fact is that When We Ruled by Robin Walker, an African historian from Jamaica who lives in the UK. I have an event with him at the end of the month, right?
He signed a copy of song that I bought from him personally.
But I
supported him.
But I get you. But When We Ruled is the #1 comprehensive text on African history in today's world. There's no doubt about that. Nobody will dispute that from anywhere in the world. There is no book that gives as comprehensive an overview of African history as When We Ruled. And the greatest thing about that book is that he corrects what is called the Egyptian chronology, because there's been a lot of debate about how old Kemet is actually. So he's gone and done the research, whereas Uncle Danjuma said that he's only doing secondary sources. Nobody has done that extensive research in terms of exactly how old Kemet is. When We Ruled by Robin Walker. But it's a thick book like that. If I had more space in the bag, I'd have bought it as well, just for Uncle Danjuma, right? What's it called, right? But it is the #1 text on African history right now. You know what I'm saying? Not but as an overview. So if you want to read about Mali, I say get a book about Mali. But if you want an overview from ancient Nile Valley all the way to the 1800s, When We Ruled is the book. And check his sources. Yeah, don't just read the book, but check his sources for more further research.
Also, Shaka, just to like.
Bro, let's do this over food.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Food or something.
No, I'm gonna go home and yeah. But brother, seriously,
He's saying he's gonna go home, but it's coming for it.
I respect.
Shahada's in the pipeline.
I know.
But I hope you understand our position.
No.
Our position is we are Afrocentric to the core.
Yes, sir.
But we defending it, and you make us defend. You know what I mean? But we are.
I appreciate that.
Because we have a different battle outside that you don't see.
I understood.
That's what he was saying.
Really, and I was trying to make people aware of what the Afrocentric battle actually is. You know what I'm saying? Because a conversation was had about it, and I thought it was important to give that perspective. Just what I'm saying.
But all the critique that you pointed out is the critique that we have amongst us.
I understand.
When black Muslims talk to each other.
He's just stealing my clothes. I told you, you stole my clothes.
Let me get some as well, sir. So we can.
So
Then the corona, you know?
So
Corona road,
so what you gonna do about the Rastafari movement after you told them you don't like Amharic?
He's trying to get your choice.
You know what I'm gonna say? There is a movement among the races at the moment, of which I say I'm a part of that movement, and I'd say that the spearhead of it is probably Muta Maruka. But he coming from a Rastafari elder by the name of Mortimer Plano, who said that Rastafari needs a new faculty of interpretation. And what he meant by that is that whenever Rastafari try to validate themselves, they have to go into the Judo-Christian tradition. And he's saying that the new faculty of interpretation has to come from our own African tradition. So what I'm going to say to the Rastafari then is that we need a new faculty of interpretation. That's it. Yeah, and it exists because so much of Rastafari.
Therefore, let us end on the words of our brother Mutabaruka. It's not good.
50 in a white man country too long. So we're going on. Yeah. I also say on the camera though, I do want to say though that I respect the brothers then fully. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And none of my conversation is a disrespect to the brothers, especially the elder. You know what I'm saying? So it's all love in it. But this is the part
of the. Joke. Let me tell you, a lot of the time people have criticized me. They say I don't give the young brother respect. Like I said to them, y'all know I'm a funster. At times I like to make things because it gets too leaden and too heavy and too boring. So sometimes you lighten the atmosphere. You have a bit of a joke.
You're in high esteem with us, like amongst Muslims of all
no
walks,
doubt. I wouldn't be here for anybody else this time of the night. I
appreciate that.
You know?
So when we disagree, but it's love.
Yes, of course.
Brothers, you know what I'm saying?
But I support anybody I hear disrespecting African faith.
Yes, sir.
I challenge them.
Yes, sir.
I challenge them because I think, first of all, it's bad dawah. It's bad dawah. Done.
That's the thing. Do you know what? Dissing faiths anyway. It's inherently from a Quranic standpoint. I'm not insulting those which they call upon. Because that's a basic thing.
Yes.
Like regardless if people mock Islam or regardless, leave it out. But
do you think they conflate both, like with the criticism and the mocking?
No, so the criticism can be like Shaka obviously has his clear criticism, but it doesn't have to come via way of insult, via way of alarming people, via way of causing them distress.
Aisha is that and those kind of things. You see what most, we funny about our women. We kind of funny, but you touch women in Islam, you're going to cause a conflagration. They know that, so they're going to go there. They're going to go there. He was doing it just now. He was doing it.
I had to zone into his words because in myself I'm thinking, bro, if he was outside, bro.
Yeah. You're stepping too far, dog. Joke is joke. You're stepping too far.
But
let's end on a pleasant note, brother.
Yes, sir.
I think we love each other and we got to support each other. At the end of the day, Malcolm X said this: you're not being persecuted because you're Christian. You're not being persecuted because you're a Muslim. You're being persecuted because you're black.
Yes, sir.
And we cannot forget that.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yeah.
And Malcolm is my boy.
Yes, sir.
Every time,
Yes, sir.
Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Jannah.
Yo, Riza.
You headed to the station? I got 2 sets of prayers to drop.
Content over everything. From your government.
Come, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Bring nobody in the
You're worse than nobody.
He's just saying, oh, well, the Arabic doesn't say
You're worse than nobody, Bob.
Anyway, we're done on that. Shall we have a conversation now?
He's worse than nobody. He's worse than nobody, Bob.
What's your name?
No, don't
Taser, don't expect any respect from
He's
this
the worst of nobody.
Yeah. We're going to have a conversation.
Yeah, I can speak whoever I want.
Carl, me and Carl have known each other from university, and he recommended to come to you regarding a few questions, because we've been debating in university Christian.
Worst of nobody.
So we used to debate in university, I'm Muslim and he's Christian, and we just have a chance there. Just regarding, but I have a question regarding this topic as well. You know, is glory an attribute of God, would you say?
Glory is something that we do to God.
Okay, because
it is an energy. It is an uncreated energy that begins in a moment of time when there are those to give glory to God.
Okay, so I was wondering, in terms of because the topic was on God entering creation.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, do you believe personally that God has to limit one of his attributes to enter creation?
No.
Because in the Bible, I think Jesus mentions that he doesn't know the time of the end.
Yes, that's correct.
But